Welcome back to either Sports Talk with Austin or Only Talk Sports. Welcome to the 2026 Final Four predictions. And no, we are not in Indianapolis. Maybe one day, but not yet. We'll get there. We're not there. We are here in our humble abode homes. I'm in my home decor office. Jeffrey is in some portal of North Carolina that we will not disclose, but we are here. We are here to talk about the Final Four, and we're here to talk about the tournament all together. What teams surprised us? What teams, were overrated? And we're also going to make our Final Four championship predictions as well. And we're also going to talk about the coaching carousel. We're going to talk about Hubert Davis, Randy Bennett leaving St. Mary's in a shocking move that a lot of people didn't see coming. We'll talk about Will Wade. We'll talk about some jobs that are going to come open this upcoming summer that we could see potential candidates for. And we're even going to talk about some of the players that might go to the draft and see what we think of that as the early fields and who we think might come back with all the coaches. But we got a busy packed show tonight, and we look forward to bringing it all to you here on a Wednesday night. Jeffrey, how are you, my friend? It's sad that the tournament's almost over, but we've got two more games left. Well, three, technically. The two Final Four championship games. But how are you?
I'm doing really good. Definitely excited to talk about a lot of basketball topics tonight. Like you said, Final Four predictions, reviewing what happened in the Sweet 16 Elite Eight and earlier. A lot of stuff going on and with the coaching carousel. I mean, like you said, it's sad that it's almost over, but at the same time, it's you got the off season. There's always stuff to watch in the off season, like baseball. If you care about baseball, you got the UFLs on right now, NBA Summer League, the NBA playoffs. You got the NBA playoffs. Like literally, there's so much stuff still to watch. And right before you know it, football and basketball will be back. So I mean, I used to get really sad when I was a kid when the season was over because I'm like, oh no, there's nothing on forever, and I'm just like, well, for one, there's so much other stuff on that you could turn on. And number two, it's like, you need a reset. It's like you need that off season. Off season is a good time. Plus, there's so much news during the off season. Like the portal, the coaching carousel is going to go on for a while. That it just never truly feels like the off season's really over anymore. So it's sad, but it's definitely not the end of the world for sure. But I'm definitely excited to get into some of the stuff we're going to talk about.
Yes. And like you said, Jeffrey, it's good to have a reset. I mean, because as a fan, it takes it out of you emotionally because you invest so much into it. And when your team finally makes it to the promised land, like one of these four teams, I'm sure we've got our Illinois fans and UConn fans, and of course we got our Michigan fans. We know some Michigan people and some Arizona. Right now, you all are in the thick of it. You're excited. It's a great day to be one of the fans of those teams. But once it's over, it's kind of like, take a breath, take a chill, and move on to next year. Now, if you win the championship, then you're ready to party, which, as you can see, we're not going to party because our teams got beat. Oh, North Carolina.
Yeah, Indiana football fans are still partying right now. So, trust me, I understand.
See, we're going to get to North Carolina because I'm mad at your team. They did me wrong, but we'll get to that. But Jeffrey, if you're ready to talk about the tournament, let's get to it. Good buddy, old pal friend, because we got quite a bit to talk about. And we'll start out in the East region. The hardest prediction to make in the entire field. Me and Jeffrey said it multiple times. Multiple analysts said it. This was going to be one of the hardest fields to predict. And we juggled. Jeffrey picked Duke. I picked Kansas. And those were not bad picks by any stretch. Kansas, you've got the proven coach and Bill Self, had the talented roster. Obviously Duke, a lot of people picked them, but we both ended up being wrong. But the journey, how we got there, let's talk about that for a minute. Now, when we originally talked about this, Siena, right? Like, Jeffrey, I don't know if Duke was just thinking this was going to be a cakewalk or what, but there should be no reason in the world why this game was this competitive. But this is the beauty of March. Duke survived, and I use survived very, very closely because
Mhm.
If Siena would have had to use their bench players, they might have won this game. But go ahead, Jeffrey. I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, Duke was not 100% healthy during that game. Like, they got healthier as
Mm-hmm.
the tournament went along. I kind of feel like this game did expose that they weren't a national championship team. Obviously, it's a little bit easier to
Mm-hmm.
say that now that they're eliminated, but really the only game that they won substantially was the next round against TCU, and even in that game, TCU was in that game until late when Duke pulled away. So it's just really interesting because, like, I thought Duke was, every year Duke is so talented and they've got great players, and they're always like a 1 or a 2 seed basically every year, and you're like, oh yeah, Duke's gonna have a great year, Duke's gonna go far, and then they didn't get upset, they didn't lose to Siena, they didn't do what Purdue did, they
No.
didn't do what Virginia did, but yeah, this game, I think it kind of spoke more to, like, Duke wasn't, I don't want to say legit, because they were a
Mm-hmm.
great team, and they did lose kind of on a fluky ending kind of stuff, but still, like, I don't know, Duke kind of, this game kind of showed that they weren't on Michigan or Arizona or some of these other teams' level.
Mm-hmm. And I think with this too, for me, Jeffrey, I didn't watch any of this game until like the last 8 minutes because I was like, oh, Duke's gonna run away with this. This like not waste your time on this. And I flip it over with like 8 minutes to go and Siena's leading. And I'm like, okay, what happened? Did someone get injured and a momentum shift? And Siena was just playing better and playing harder. That's the thing, Jeffrey. And a lot of people don't realize this, but in basketball, momentum is a serious thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
when a team like Siena gets confident and they feel like, oh, okay, we can hang with them, and you start hitting some shots, you can be like, okay, we can hang around. And Siena, they had a legit chance to win this game. They really did. But like you said though, Jeffrey, them not being healthy didn't help any causes, but it definitely showed that there was a lot more weaknesses than we realized. And once again, as much as I don't like to say it, and as much, Jeffrey, as we are ACC people, that just goes to show that the ACC conference is not what it used to be either, where they can challenge Duke. But good win for Duke. They survived. Jeffrey, we made a smart decision picking TCU over Ohio State. We did good there. What do you
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
about this
I
game
mean,
here?
this game was close, and it really could have gone either way. Obviously, if Ohio State wins, we're singing a different tune. But I mean, you just look historically, like the last 5 or 6, 7 tournaments, Ohio State
Mm-hmm.
loses early every time. Typically when that
Mm-hmm.
occurs, you kind of just start picking against that team. You don't pick them to go far. TCU had the more veteran coach, more experienced coach. The Big 12 was a great conference this year. So was Big 10. I mean, like, Big 10 probably was the best conference. They've been the best performing and even could win a natty for the first time since 2000. That's to be determined. But I don't know. It was a coin flip game, but just in a coin flip game like this, I had to go with the experienced coach, seemingly more
Mm-hmm.
trustworthy team, and TCU did get it done, even though it was really close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, TCU got it done. And I remember, Jeffrey, this was one of them we kind of flip flopped on. Me and you both kind of were like, okay, Ohio State, Bruce Thornton, they've had some big time moments this year. But we kind of, like you said, the experience of being in the Big 12 and how loaded that conference is with talent and depth team wise, we were like, TCU, I think, is just a little bit better. And like you said, Jeffrey, I think it goes to show, Jeffrey, sometimes, like you said, the teams at the bottom aren't always as bad as we think they are. Like on paper, like a lot of people didn't give TCU a lot of credit, right? Because they lost to New Orleans, and a lot of people thought, oh, they're going to be one of them teams in the Big 12 that is not going to be very good. And it turns out they were a tournament team, and they got all these big wins. It just goes to show a depth of a conference. Sometimes, yeah, you got your top four, but sometimes those teams at the bottom are good enough that they could pick off anybody. That they could pick off an Arizona, or they could pick off a Tech if you're in TCU's case. But like you said, the experience won out in the end. Speaking of experience, Jeffrey, St. John's cruising to victory. Did you catch any of this?
There's a lot of games that I missed. I just wasn't able to watch them. Especially the later games I was able to see, but I did miss a lot of the earlier games, especially the ones on Thursday. I think this was a Thursday game, but I did not really see any of this one. It definitely wasn't close. I don't know if it was close the entire game, or not close, but like if it was close earlier in the game and then St. John's pulled away. I don't know really what happened here, but definitely the score was not surprising. St. John's was a very good team this season. It's just the fact that I feel like they just were kind of missing, that one other like really big time player, outside of Zuby Ejiofor.
Mm-hmm.
Like Zuby Ejiofor was really good, and they had good players. It's just when they face Duke later on, which obviously we'll get to it later, but like they had a chance to win that game, and I still feel like they really should have won that game. I had St. John's going to the Sweet 16, and I almost picked them to beat Duke, but I went with Duke. But St. John's definitely they did what I thought they were going to do. They went on a run, and it started with this one. They played very well, obviously, in this game. And it's Rick Pitino. It's kind of hard to not predict him to make a run. He usually does.
Mm-hmm. I caught a bit of this game myself. I mean, not much. St. John's just flexed their muscles. Northern Iowa never looked like they really were in the game to begin with. It was like 13-2 to start, and it was just like one of them. It was just like, okay, I can see how this is going to go. But another game, Jeffrey, Kansas wins a game that shouldn't even have been this close. I don't know how much you saw of this, Jeffrey, but Kansas was up by 20 points in this game. Like, for people that look at box scores only and think, oh, Kansas had a scare, I won't say that Cal Baptist was a bad team. They're a good team for what they are, but the box score tells a different story than what actually played out in front of our eyes. And Kansas was up like 55 to like 39 with like 7 minutes to go, I think it was. And they kind of let it go. And I'm like, and they started missing shots, turning the ball over. And that's what kills teams in this tournament. We'll talk about North Carolina here in a minute. But Carolina, they had the same thing happen to them, and they ended up on the wrong side of the coin. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But, Jeffrey, how much of this game did you see, if any at all?
I don't think I saw much of this one either. I do know that Kansas, like you said, it was never a game that they were like in danger of losing. It just, it's just kind of, they didn't flex their muscle and blow them out, which I don't know if that speaks more toward, Cal Baptist's, effort to try to win, or Kansas just laxing up. I never was impressed with Kansas this year. And, some teams that don't impress make runs. Iowa is a perfect example. I was not impressed with Iowa at all this season, and they did really good in the tournament. So it's not always the case, but Kansas just never impressed me. Whether they had Peterson or not, just didn't look like a good team to me per Kansas. They were still a good team. They still had good players, and they didn't do horrible. They won their first game, lost competitively in the round of 32. So it's not like it was a terrible year, but for Kansas standards, they weren't good at all, because we know Kansas' standard. Their standard is Final Fours and natties like all the other blue bloods. So, yeah, it's just when you take a team like Kansas, your perspective on them is a lot different than like in Illinois, or a team that doesn't normally make deep runs as much. So, yeah, it's not like Kansas was terrible, but I wasn't like overly impressed with them like I usually am, and that definitely proved to be the case.
And we'll get to it here in a minute, but they should have won that St. John's game. They really should have. We'll talk about that in a minute. But as you see the theme here, there's a lot of good to great games in this year's tournament. But Jeffrey, how about them boys from the Ville? We got a tournament win, year 2 under Pat Kelsey, baby. Woo-hoo. Like I said, I'm happy that we won this game. But one thing we did not know when we made our predictions is Mikael Brown Jr., we thought was going to play. He was all expected to play, and then the report comes out after me and Jeffrey do our predictions that he was out. and he probably would have been out maybe till the Elite Eight if we had made it. Sweet 16 Elite Eight, I think is what they said. And they still won this game, and I give them a lot of credit for that. Like, a lot of people were picking South Florida anyway. I know Jeffrey flirted with the idea, like, and I won't speak too much for him, but he flirted with the idea when we did our predictions. And I did too for a minute. I did, but I was like, I'll back my team. I'll be the good person here. I picked against them a couple times already, but it's a good win. I'm happy Pat Kelsey under year 2 finally got that first tournament win out of the way. Because you see it a lot of times, Jeffrey. You've talked about this with a couple teams in college football where get that first bowl win, that first big playoff win, and kind of gets that monkey off your back, right? And like for Pat Kelsey, it's like good in year 2, he got it off his back. Now we can move forward. We don't have to say, well, is he going to win a tournament game? We can now say, okay, he can win a tournament game. How much of this did you catch, Jeffrey? Because this was an interesting game. If you're, like not a fan of either team.
I saw some highlights of this one. I don't believe I saw much of the game either. I missed a lot of the first round games. I know, like further into the tournament, more of the games that I saw because they were more on the weekends later, so I was able to see them. But like this game here, I mean, I picked Louisville if he was going to play Mikel Brown. And I was like, well, if he doesn't play, I probably would pick South Florida. But I just went with Louisville because I was banking on him playing, and he didn't play, and they still won. So I was glad I picked them because it ended up being correct. It helped my bracket. It's a good win for your team. I mean, like South Florida was not a slouch. They were a very good team. Like it's kind of like a VCU kind of type of team. Very, it's not a bad win. It's a quality win. It's definitely good for Louisville's momentum. I know we're not getting any of this stuff because, again, if we did, probably like a 10-hour show. But I know Louisville has like no players on the roster right now, which kind of sucks. But that's just the state of college basketball right now. But at least for this season, they had a good team, and even though they didn't achieve elite things, I mean, a 6th seed in this year's college basketball landscape is not bad. I mean, that top of the bracket was fierce and very competitive. I mean, I would argue the top three to maybe 4 seeds were all like composed of just fantastic teams. So Louisville being a 6th seed, they had a good year, and I mean, the highlight was probably that beat down of NC State. I mean, that was impressive. So yeah, Louisville they had a good year for Kelsey, and definitely, even though they didn't advance further, I think that it was definitely a positive season for Louisville.
And Michigan State, Tom Izzo, the old veteran coach, still getting it done. Jeffrey, another year, another first round win for Izzo. And Jeffrey, I mean, Michigan State, I know we both talked about this on our preview show, but we thought maybe Michigan State could make a run at the thing. Like you said, you can make an argument for the top 5 teams out in the East region to make a run at it. And Michigan State, we'll talk about the UConn game, but they could have won that game. But any thoughts on Tom Izzo getting another tournament win? The old folks still getting it done.
Yeah, I've a lot of discourse around Michigan State right now is that like, oh, well, Tom Izzo only won in 2000 and he hasn't won another title. So why is March all about Izzo? The reason why is like, he's consistent. Michigan State, they don't miss the tournament. He's always getting them there, even when he's had down teams, even when he's not had kind of lackluster rosters. He still finds a way to get Michigan State in the tournament. And they make noise. They do stuff. There's not a lot of round of 64 appearances, and that's it. It's a lot of Sweet 16s, Elite 8s, round of 32s, Final Fours. I mean, that should be pretty obvious why Michigan State and Izzo are held in such high regard. I don't really know why we're having to debate that, but that's just the way the internet is. Everybody's got to debate everything. Izzo it's not debatable. He's one of the better head coaches of all time. He's not the best. He's not number 1. But he's really high up there at a program too that's not a blue blood. Michigan State's only thought of kind of in the blue blood conversation because of Izzo. They're on that fringe, kind of like with a Louisville or Villanova in that realm. And that's great. So, I mean, yeah, like it was another good tournament for Michigan State. And it started out with this game, North Dakota State. I wouldn't say it was a trendy pick, but, they're a team that's been there before. People thought they maybe had a shot, and Michigan State squashed that. They're like, no. They beat them down pretty good. I did see this game, though.
But Izzo got
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good, Jeffrey. Go for it. I'm just scrolling down.
I saw this game right here, the UCLA-UCF. It was one of the few round of 64 games I saw. UCF actually could have won this game if they had made free throws. They shot like 1 of 12 from the line in the second half. I remember that stat, 1 of 12. How does a college basketball team shoot 1 of 12 at the foul line in a half? Think about it, 1 of 12. They missed 11 free throws. They lost by 4. So if they had like this simple case of another team that if they had made their free throws, it's painful to me. We'll talk about it later, but free throws. There's a reason why Michael Jordan preached free throws. You got to make your free throws. UCF, Johnny Dawkins is kicking himself right now for his team's performance at the line. That was pathetic. Nothing against UCLA, it was a good win, but UCF actually should have won.
I'll say this too. I thought about picking UCF. I really did. I thought, okay, Johnny Dawkins has got him back in the tournament in the Big 12, a really good year. But it came down for me, Jeffrey, like you said, the old experienced coach. Mick Cronin knows how to win these type of games. He normally wins one. And he's been here before. He's done it. And we'll talk about it when we get to the coaches later. There's going to be a lot of discourse about whether Mick Cronin, how much longer leash will he have at UCLA? I know a lot of people will say to that, but why are we even talking about that? Well, that's kind of like Jeffrey said, the world we're in college basketball, but we'll get to that when we talk about the coaches later. But another good win, and like Jeffrey said, UCF could have won, but like 1 of 12, and then they had I think 15 turnovers. Like they kind of beat themselves, and UCLA took advantage. And that's what Mick Cronin teams do. If you're going to beat yourself over and over again, he's going to find ways to exploit it and win. But as Jeffrey's got pulled up here, a beautiful $5 super chat from our good friend Jackson Johnson from Alabama, the voice of college football and voice of college football, which, by the way, shameless plug. Go out and get yourself an Alabama, the voice of college football mug. It's great for all things. Even if you're not an Alabama fan, just get you one. Maybe you know an Alabama fan that needs one. Or maybe you're just thirsty and don't have any cups in your house. It supports a good cause. But go ahead, though, Jeffrey.
Definitely appreciate that, Austin. The mug's great, man. The mug is fantastic. Do appreciate everybody who has supported Alabama, the voice of college football. And definitely just tuned in. We appreciate it a lot. But, yeah, I appreciate Super Chat Jackson. It says, let's help get Only Talk Sports to 5,000 subs and help Austin get to 1,000 subs. Everyone, let's freaking go. Appreciate that, Jackson. And, yes, as Will points out, free throws matter. Again, it doesn't matter how great of a player you are. If you cannot make free throws at a consistent rate, it's such an important part of the game. It limits your ceiling as a player. It limits coaches trust in you. It limits fans trust in you. Like, hey, this guy, I believe at the end of a game, he can make his free throws and win the game. If you can't do that, it's just not good. It's definitely not good. You have to be able to make free throws. Will point out that Colorado is in a tie game with Oklahoma in the Crown, so that's going on too right now. But yeah, definitely that UCLA game. I picked UCLA, so I was glad to see them win for my bracket. But yeah, it's just that was nuts how bad UCF was at the foul line.
Yes, and we'll talk about it with Texas BYU about free throws matter because there was a certain center that couldn't make one, but BYU could capitalize. We'll get to that in a minute. UConn Furman. This, Jeffrey, was actually a pretty good game. I watched all of this game, to be honest with you. And I know a lot of people would say, why would you watch a UConn Furman game, right? UConn's a superior team. They're national championship contenders. They're going to blow Furman out. This was actually kind of a fun game to watch. Like UConn, the fact that they couldn't get a three to go down, they couldn't hit their shots, kept Furman in the game. But Jeffrey Terrence Reed Jr., I tell you, Jeffrey, grabbing every rebound and every putback. I mean, I don't know how much of the game you watched, Jeffrey, but he was out there. He was single-handedly just every rebound, every missed shot. He was getting putbacks. He was getting rebounds. I believe he had 25 and 27, or was it 30 and 27? He had like some ridiculous stat line, or was it 30 and 20? It was somewhere in that ballpark. Like just incredible. But how much of this game did you see, Jeffrey?
I don't think I saw much of this one, but I did see his stat line though. Yeah, he had like 31. How many
31,
rebounds?
okay.
Was
it
I know he was
or
dominant.
25?
He had 31
I couldn't
points
believe it.
and 27 rebounds. Yeah, like it felt like a meme. It's kind of like when Bam had 83 points in the NBA like a while back. It was like, okay, there's no way. I thought it was fake, and it's like, oh, he had 83 points, and then like 40 of them are at the line or whatever. But yeah, so like Terrace Reed, 27 rebounds. I mean, clearly Furman could not stop him on the boards. If they could have, then maybe they would have won. Yeah, I mean UConn had a good team. Definitely, very close. Obviously, going to the Final Four, or they did go to the Final Four. Almost close, not going to the Final Four, rather. But they shouldn't have gone to the Final Four. I'm still blown away. They should not have made the Final Four, but they did. But UConn has a good team. Like they have a good team, and I didn't think that they were this material. I did not believe, especially after this game, like even though Reed was dominant, I didn't think after this result, like UConn was like, yeah, they're going to the Final Four. They shouldn't have gone to the Final Four. They should not have won. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what should have happened. They won the game, and that's Dan Hurley for you. That guy's building a dynasty. If he somehow wins again, oh boy. Yeah, that dude, he'll be one of the most insufferable people on the entire planet. That's all I know. Like people are already tired of Dan Hurley, but it's only going to get worse. But yeah, it was a little shocking that they barely beat. They didn't barely beat him, but like you'd have thought they'd beat Furman by more. But for them to turn that around and now do what they're doing, it's pretty crazy.
And we kind of mentioned this already, so we won't spend too much time on this. Duke, was able to get it done. They beat TCU by double digits. A second half, overpowering, so to speak, flexing their muscles. Jeffrey mentioned it earlier. He said TCU was in the game for the first half, but then I think that kind of woke Duke up a little bit. And they were like, okay, we need to stop messing with around here. Like these teams are coming after us. Like we've got a target on our back. We need to play more serious, and they showed it. Jeffrey, I mean, you kind of summed it up earlier, but if you have any more thoughts, be my guest.
Yeah, I mean, TCU was in this game. I saw this one, and I was impressed with TCU. Like, they were hanging in there. They were fighting with Duke. And then, like, halfway through the second half, I mean, like I said, I try not to say, it a lot because people get mad. I know people get mad. I understand, especially when you're a fan of the teams, But Duke in the late second half started playing bully ball. They were like, all right, we're tired of TCU. They started playing bully ball, and they went to the line like every single trip down the stretch. And it's like that kind of ended TCU's chances in the game because TCU just couldn't bang with them, and they weren't getting to the line. Duke just they flexed their muscle late. Like it was a close game until Duke just decided to take over. So it is what it is for the Horned Frogs. Yes. I thought they really tried.
Yes, I mean, and credit to them, they tried, but St. John's, Kansas, arguably maybe the game of the East region, just maybe. This was a really good game. I mean, two old ball coaches going at it. Jeffrey, you said you picked St. John's. I picked Kansas to go to the Final Four. And this was a really good game. But the key thing I want to point out here, Jeffrey, is What do you think about fouling all those times like Kansas did? Do you think that's smart when you've got like 3 or 4 to give and you just keep fouling because you want to make them take the time off so they don't have much time left? But in turn, it gave them another chance to draw up another good play, and they were able to get the layup and win it on a walk off. Like, what do you think about those kind of things, Jeffrey? I'm curious to pick your brain about that.
It's an interesting predicament because a lot of times, especially in modern day college basketball, you're not even in a position to have fouls to give. A lot of teams, they already burn all their fouls and they're in the double bonus by the end of the game. So it's a scenario that you don't see happen that frequently anymore. But when it does happen, the problem is that, you go to foul and you can screw up for one because the dude could try, shoot the ball. And then it's like, oh, now it's a shooting foul. So you have that risk. And even though, especially I really, and, I know this has nothing to do with the conversation, but Mike Woodson would do this. Mike Woodson would have his guys do that in the first half. He did this multiple times in the first half. And you'd have like Galloway, because I remember in one specific game, he picked up two fouls doing that, and he had 3 fouls. And I'm like, what are you doing? If you're going to do that, put somebody in that don't play. Put a walk-on in to foul. You were going to have your starting guard get in foul trouble for no reason. That's how, like, the level of stupidity that Indiana basketball was at in that era. I'm just saying that's just dumb. Like, that is absolutely stupid. So if you're going to do that in the first half, make sure the guys that are fouling are not useful, that they don't matter. Not that they don't matter as people, but on the floor, they don't matter. Because if you do that in the second half, that does it. Okay, the game's about over, but and especially if no one's really in foul trouble. But in the first half, don't do that. It's just it's stupid. But overall, I would say it's better to just play it out. But, it depends. If there's only a few seconds left, and you got like 3 or 4 fouls to give, it can work, I think. But I don't know. It didn't work for Kansas because St. John's ended up scoring. But, that was a crazy end of the game. Like, that was really fortunate for St. John's. That's just March for it. Kind of like UConn beating Duke. That's March. It's just Kansas was on the wrong end of the stick on it.
And here's the funny thing, though. You notice how Jeffrey roped Indiana into this. He does it every time, but that's what we love about him.
Because I see a lot of their games, so I just remember a specific instance. When I'm bringing up Indiana, it's mostly negative, and they've done something wrong. Now with Signetti, it's good, but when it was basketball, it's bad because they don't do anything good.
Here's the thing, Jeffrey. We're all known for something here. I'm the upset king here. I try to go for the upset. You're the bring up Indiana king somehow. We'll be talking about 2 teams, and you'll be like, oh, if Indiana played this team and they got this. But in all seriousness, though, Jeffrey's just like, oh.
So funny.
But like you said, here's the problem. Like you said, Jeffrey, I understand why coaches do it because they're trying to get you to use the time. But the problem is, if you're going to do that, make sure hey, we fouled them. Now we done seen their play. They're going to change it now. So they might have been trying to kick it to the corner for a 3. Now they're going to change it and try to drive to the basket or fillet it somewhere else. Like, that's the problem. And Kansas didn't have any timeouts. That's the problem, too, with that. When you're out of timeouts, like if you foul and you say, okay, timeout, okay, here's the play that they'd like to run with 0.2 remaining. Like, that to me is the biggest problem. If you're going to do that, make sure you have a timeout. Take the timeout, get your defense set, and say, okay, here's 1 or 2 plays they could run. If they run this play, we need to be here, here, and here. Or if we need to be here, 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 and here. You get the gist, right? The X's and O's, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing I have. But when you have no timeouts and you're doing that, and I understand sometimes, you're a pro athlete or going to be, you should be able to think on your feet. But these are still college kids to a certain extent. They're still young adults like we are. Just we're not as athletic, or we're not built as strong as them, obviously. But that's the whole thing with that, and that irritates me because Kansas could have won this game. They really could have. St. John's tried to give them this game. I mean, and Peterson didn't have a good game. It's just frustrating. I mean, all credit for them hitting that shot and getting it to go. It's just, I don't know. And like y'all saying is, it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback now that we see the results, but if he misses the shot and they go to overtime and Kansas wins, we're talking about what a strategist Bill Self is. It's just one.
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's something that's not related to that, but I think that the tournament and the injuries or whatever he dealt with this season, I don't see how Darren Peterson can be the number one pick. I know it's not related to this necessarily, but a lot of people are still arguing for him to be the number one pick in the draft, and I just don't see it. I don't see it. It's nothing against him. I'm sure, I've seen moments and stuff, and his high school tape, and I get he's gifted and all that athletically, but he didn't play half a season. When he did play, he wasn't very impressive, and at most of the time, and you had other players that were just better. I don't know. To me, I don't think Peterson is this clear cut number one like we've had in other years where it was like Zion Williamson or even like Anthony Davis or whatever. There just isn't that type of. He's not that type of guy. If he wasn't injured, maybe it would have been different. But I think DeBonsa or heck, even Acuff, I understand Acuff's a shorter guard, but that dude was dominant down the stretch. I just don't think Peterson should be the number one pick. But if he is, he is. That's just my opinion. But he really kind of sunk Kansas' ceiling this year since he didn't have as good of a year as he was supposed to have.
Yes, but I mean, good win for Rick Pitino. First Sweet 16 in I think since 1990. They said it was 1999. I think it's what they said. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think it's 1990 is what they said.
Both St. John's and Iowa went to their first Sweet 16 since 99. It's ironic.
Yes. And speaking of the Sweet 16, Duke, it was 99. Okay. I said 90 first, and I was like, no, 99. But Duke St. John's in the Sweet 16. Like you said, Jeffrey, you referenced this game earlier, so I'll let you have the floor to start. I know you probably saw this game. A lot of people probably saw it. But go ahead.
Yeah, I did see this game. It was a really, really good game, and St. kind of like the TCU game. Again, just point it out as I see it, but St. John's had a really good shot to win this game. They outplayed Duke for a lot of the game. They were leading in a lot of the game. And then late in the game, Duke started bully balling, getting in the lane, getting fouled, and Boozer was hitting his free throws, and that changed the game. I mean, it's flat out. I know fans don't want to hear it, but it's just the way that it is. I mean, if you are allowed to play a physical brand of basketball and get inside at will, because, I mean, it's just strange because Duke in the beginning portions of the game, I've noticed so many games in March Madness for them where in the first half they're playing at the other team's speed, just playing regular basketball, not being too physical, whatever. And then late in the game, like around the 9 to 10 minute mark of the second half, it just the script completely flips, and then Duke's just like I said, it's almost like they're going WWE on the other team. And again, you have to watch the game to understand what I mean. It's just if you watch the games, then I don't feel like I'm crazy. I'm not saying Duke's not good or that Duke didn't deserve to win. It's just like I said, it's just that part of the game in the second half where just like Duke's just getting everything. Everything's going their way, and it's over. Because St. John's, I really felt St. John's was the better team in this game. They outplayed Duke to me overall, but they didn't win. And it's just, I mean, I think even via Ohio State, appreciate your being here via Ohio State. I also got Bean in the chat and Moose as well. Appreciate you all for being here. But he says, I think if St. John's beats Duke, St. John's would have beaten UConn again. That's fair. I mean, that's absolutely fair. I think St. John's is a really good team. It's
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate for them they fell short. But yeah, and Caleb Foster returned in this game. That's another thing. He had 11 points in the second half for Duke. If he doesn't play, Duke loses. So it was very unfortunate for
Mm-hmm.
St. John's that he returned when he did.
And I mean, like you said, Jeffrey, like you said, and I know like a lot, like it's gonna sound, like we're anti Duke because we're North Carolina and Louisville fans. But if you watch Duke basketball, like the first half, they're kind of just like they're not as aggressive, but the second half, like Jeffrey said, they like to do a little wrestling with you, so to speak. Like they do a WWE, and they bully ball you. And to their credit, if they keep getting away with it, then why stop doing it? I mean, and they were just the more physical team. And that's the thing too, Jeffrey. If you were to tell me, if you were saying, what would St. John's have the edge over Duke in? I would say physicality, because all Rick Pitino teams are physicality and play great on defense. Even dating back to his days when he was here in Louisville, and in Providence and Kentucky. Like those teams always play defense. That's his calling card: defense, mental toughness, and physicality. And Duke just in the second half just out physical them, outplayed them, and Duke was able to win, which is a good win a great win for Duke, and for St. John's. I mean, like you said, like the Ohio State said, if St. John's and UConn were to match up for a fourth time, I believe it would have been. St. John's probably would have won again, but you never know. But Duke's going to the Elite Eight out east. Now down here towards the bottom to the other Sweet 16s, Michigan State and Tom Izzo getting it done against my boys in Louisville. I kind of seen the writing on the wall. I would have loved to beat Michigan State and played for a Sweet 16 in year two of Pat Kelsey. But I try to be a realist about it. I try not to be one of these that after one game and go, oh, we're going to win it all. I try to be real about it. And I picked Michigan State in my bracket to win, and they were just the better team. Colin Carr and Jeremiah Fears Jr. both played really two great games between the guards, and they were more physical than us. And we got a lot of things we can work on in the off season. We need to get more physical. We need to get a little more toughness about us. But this is a good learning experience. Jeffrey, the floor is yours, good buddy. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, this was a solid enough game. It wasn't bad. Like it wasn't like a great game. It wasn't one of the more competitive games of March Madness. It wasn't a classic. It wasn't like a Nebraska Vandy or a UConn Duke or anything, but it also wasn't bad either. I feel like this game was always like Louisville was semi in reach. They were hanging around. They tried to, stay competitive, but not Louisville had a good year. You're playing Michigan State. You're playing the stalwart Izzo. The guy that, like I said, is some of the most consistent deep runs in college basketball history. Like Louisville just was kind of a little bit outmatched here, just a bit. They hung around though. Like credit to them for not folding and getting blown off the court or anything. But I knew by like mid second half, I'm like, they're not winning this game. Louisville is no shot because they were not going on any type of run. They just kind of kept hanging around that 9 to 12 range. They were down consistent. Michigan State just kept them at arm's length. Whenever Louisville hit a shot or two, Michigan State would counter. So it was just one of those type of games.
And like I said, like you try to be a realist. Like the old saying is, we all have bias in us. Like Jeffrey's got bias, I've got bias, Jackson's got bias. We all got bias in us. But that's
Caden has bias.
I wasn't gonna say that, but okay, Jeffrey took it there. I was just going to use us three for example, but
he started to say some stuff in chat again, so it's like, okay, it's kind of fair game.
Okay, but sometimes you have to be a realist and be like, okay, this is not our day, and it wasn't, but it's a good learning experience. I think we'll learn from it, and we had a really good year. We beat Miami in Coral Gables, which which is a really good win. We had a couple marquee wins this year. So, all in all, I think it's a really good year. And like you said, you playing Tom Izzo. There's no shame in losing Tom Izzo in March. Like, one of the greatest coaches to ever coach the sport. Like, I'm not upset with losing to Michigan State. UConn, UCLA, Jeffrey, the other round of 32 game, UConn played much better this game. And about the 10-minute mark in the second half, they really turned it on and they started hitting shots. Alex Karaban came alive late, and Terrence Reed Jr. continued his dominant game. UConn flexing their muscles a little bit, and finally, and Mick Cronin's teams kind of the California boys kind of get a little push around on them, and it kind of showed them that they need a little more physicality to them. But go ahead, Jeffrey. I know you probably saw this game too.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of this game. I think I believe I was live when this game was on. Did one of my March Madness streams. I think it was the Bama Texas Tech game was on at the same time as this one. Yes. I think, but yeah, I didn't really watch a lot of it because the game was never like I saw it was like 42-42, and I was watching the other game, watching Bama, and I about flipped it over. But then I saw, like, in a split second, UConn was up by, like, 12. And I was like, okay, well, I guess it's over now. Like, it was like 42-42. I vividly remember that score. It's just UCLA, it kind of seemed like with Duke, TCU, some of these other games where the underdog was hanging around and then they just ran out of gas. Like UCLA just couldn't hang with UConn for a full 40. That's kind of what happened.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and like that's the thing too, like you said. Michigan State, UConn in the Sweet 16. Winner goes to play Duke, right? And it'd be a great matchup either way, right? This is kind of one of the funny games, Jeffrey, where on paper you're like, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be a 20-minute game. And it was like the first half, Jeffrey, UConn really, really, really like played some of their best basketball. And then the second half, like Michigan State made a pushback, and then UConn hit a couple threes late to win it in the end and made the free throws. This was a weird game for two great coach teams, I must say, watching this on the television here. What were your thoughts on this game, Jeffrey? Or was it just me, maybe?
Yeah, I saw most of this game, and yeah, like the first, I thought it was over. I mean, like the first 15 minutes of the game, Michigan State was getting destroyed. Like they were getting killed from my memory. I mean, it was ugly. And then Izzo, and then they came back. They made it interesting, but they fell short. It was a good game in the second half. Like Michigan State, I think even at one point in the second half, they even took the lead for brief, and Dan Hurley was starting to hyperventilate over there. But at the end of the day, UConn was a little bit too much. I mean, it's interesting to think about the fact, like teams, you go on these runs in March, and like UConn now in the Final Four, and it's like two games back to back that, especially the last game, should have lost probably. Like when Michigan State took the lead, I was like, okay, Izzo's going to do it. And then, no, UConn clamped down. They got good players, man. I mean, Karaban's an older guy. He's experienced. Reed's really good down low. Braylon Mullins has been very good. I mean, really good last game, I mean, like, they got good players. It's like just Dan Hurley, it's a machine in stores, man. They just keep on winning every year. So, it's tough for Izzo. I had Michigan State beating UConn in this very game. That's what I had in my bracket. So it's kind of tough to see Michigan State lose on that one, but yeah.
And Jeffrey, I'm going to drop a bar here for this one. The Indiana kid sends UConn to Indianapolis.
Yeah, Mullins was with Woodson. He had a nice picture with Woodson a couple years ago. It's like, oh yeah, he might go to Indiana. Well, I see why he didn't go to Indiana, because look where Indiana is and look where UConn is. It's like, okay, well, but whatever.
Isn't that poetic, though, Jeffrey?
Good for Mullins. It's good for Mullins. Incredible shot. But all I know is I hate to be Caden Boozer right now. That's all I know.
I mean, here's the thing, Jeffrey. Isn't that something? The kid from Indiana is the one that gets to send his team to Indianapolis to play for a chance to play for the national championship. You can't ask for more than that. Like that's the stuff you dream of in your backyard. Like I know you watched this game, Jeffrey. I'll let you take it away first because you still had Duke in your bracket. At this point, I was just rooting for anyone but Duke. But go ahead.
Yeah, I had Duke making the Final Four, which I was starting to be a little shaky on Duke after, the St. John's performance and even the Siena performance. But, I mean, I wasn't changing my bracket. I didn't do a second I didn't do a secondary bracket or not. I just kept my bracket. So I kept, trusting in Duke to go all the way. But, man, I mean, it's still, like, whether I wanted Duke to win or not, or UConn to win, again, I didn't really want either to win, but that doesn't matter. I thought Duke was in great shape. They were winning the whole game. It looked like they were going to win, and then they just started screwing up. I mean, they started turning the ball over. They started making critical errors. I mean, they were up by double digits. They were up by like 15. I mean, it's absolutely crazy how they collapsed. And, missed free throws, turnovers, and like Caden Boozer, yeah, he blew it, but there were other mistakes made. There were other players that were equally responsible for that. I mean, literally his brother, Cameron, turned it over 2 possessions earlier. So it's not like Caden Boozer is the only one screwed up. Yeah, being 100%, Duke choked, absolutely choked, but the entire team choked. Okay, not just Caden Boozer. I'm more when it comes to Duke. I think I just like for Caden Boozer's sake. I know he's not watching this show, and he shouldn't be watching anything. I agree with the Ohio State. He should be on the internet right now reading anything to do with Duke or himself because it's ugly. But he is not the sole responsibility for that. He is not the only one that blew the game. And I mean, you got to realize like. There were 2 Duke players. If you saw the play, there were 2 Duke players all the way up, just wide open down the court. They were wide open down the court, and he decided, hey, I'm going to pass it to one of them. If those guys weren't waving and all that, he might have held the ball, but they were right there calling for the ball, and he passed it, and the UConn guy deflected it. Got the Mullins game's over. Rest is history. But, like I said, Duke choked, but it wasn't just Caden Boozer. It's not that Caden Boozer choked. The entire Duke choked. And that's what should be remembered from the game instead of all the blame being placed on Caden Boozer. And think about it, Duke fans. You could just look at it that it's a reversal of Leitner. It happens. You got Leitner.
Here's the thing, Jeffrey. I know we still got these other brackets to go through here, but that's the cruel irony of March, Jeffrey. We love it as fans, for the, as they say, the cruel irony of March, the dark side of March, right? UConn, they're in adulation, right? They're like, we did it. We're going back to the Final Four after getting beat by Florida last year. We're finally back to the promised land. And like, everything's happy. Parents are crying. That's the beautiful thing about March. You get to see your dream live on another. You get a chance to play for what is the ultimate prize of this sport, a national championship. But when you're Duke and you've got greatness on the cusp of your fingertips and you let it go, that's all it's going to remember. And like you said, Jeffrey, it's one play that people are going to remember for the rest of their lives. It don't matter what else happened. Like you said, Jeffrey, what does everyone remember about North Carolina Villanova the most? Sorry to bring this up, Jeffrey. What does everyone remember the most? Chris Jenkins shot at the
three, and then Chris Jenkins hitting the 3.
Exactly. They don't care how we got there. They care about what happened and what's in the history books. And like you said, it's not just one player's fault. Duke had many chances to win this game. Many, many, many. But they refused to put UConn down when they had the chance. And that's their fault. And UConn took advantage. And listen, Braylon Mullins, that's a shot that most coaches will tell you, do not take that. No, but he took it and made it nothing but net. And if he had missed that shot, we'd be talking about reverse. Be like, why would you take that shot? Why not drive in or get a little closer? It's one of them. It's a catch-22 type thing, Jeffrey. It's just it's the dark side of March, the agony of defeat and the thrill of victory. That's the best way to put it. That's what makes this tournament one of the greatest things in North American history. That right there. This is a perfect example. If someone asks that what's March Madness, show them this game. This is a perfect example.
Yeah, show them Leitner,
But
show them Keith Smart, 1987, show them this game here, show them Chris Jenkins. I mean, show them Luke May beating Kentucky. I mean, like literally, there's so many games, so many classic games, man. Like, just that March Madness is the best tournament. It's the best postseason.
yes,
no doubt about it.
But we're on to the West bracket, and this is when Jeffrey can be a little more. He got it because when he originally picked Arizona, spoiler alert, I looked at him like, Arizona, Jeffrey, do you realize they have a track record of blowing it, right? And he's like, I think this is the year. And I remember you told me that, Jeffrey. You said, I think this is the year. This is the team to do it. And boy, howdy, we'll talk about it. This was the team to do it. I don't know if you watched their first game against Long Island, but as you can see, domination. Any thoughts, Jeffrey?
I didn't have to
on
see
this game.
They blew them out. This one and Florida over Prairie View were both not as bad as Prairie View because Florida just the way Florida won that game, and it made you thought they were going all the way. But like Arizona destroyed Long Island, just nothing to really say.
Exactly. Utah State beats Villanova, and Jeffrey, we kind of flipped on this one. Like, we both picked Utah State, but we thought about picking Villanova, but I'm glad we picked the Mountain West champs.
All the nonsense won.
Utah State just played better. I never thought Villanova was in this game, to be honest with you. I was like, Utah State's going to win this game. I just feel like they're going to win it. And they did.
Yeah, I was shocked that all the non-seeds won. I know that they're flip-flop games. Like all the 8 seeds would win, and no one would really say anything. All the non-seed wins, but it's just like the 8 seeds didn't do good overall. Like Clemson, they haven't gotten them. Clemson sucked. Villanova wasn't very good. TCU Ohio State was the good one. I forgot the other one as of right now. But like again, just in general, the 8 seeds were not impressive. Villanova, like you said, never had a shot in this game. And I thought it would be close. I thought this would be a close game. But I mean, Utah State played very well. It's Georgia. That was the other one. St. Louis destroyed Georgia. That was ugly. That game sucked. This bad as that one. But yeah, Utah State, man, they made the Mountain West look good. And they, like trying to argue for another team from their league, but that was a good one.
Dadgummit, Jeffrey. We bought the Badgers juice and we bought it hard.
They look good. They look good, man. I mean, what happened here?
Like, Jeffrey, I wish I had an answer or I would tell you, because literally, Jeffrey, I was watching Louisville, South Florida, right? I was thinking, okay, Wisconsin, High Point, you keep an eye on it, right? And I'm sitting here watching this and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, Wisconsin's doing it again. They're bullying it again. And Jeffrey, they lost on a guy that made his first 2-point shot in his entire season. 1 of 5, and the one he makes is the layup that wins it. Like, how does like someone please explain to me. Wisconsin beats Michigan, Michigan State beats all these good teams, nearly beats Michigan in the Big Ten tournament, and then they lose to High Point.
They beat Michigan on the road. I think they beat Michigan State on the road. They won a lot of big games this year. Like they were a team that was like on the bubble for the longest time, and then like they just won all those games and they got up to a 5 seed. I mean, I don't understand it. If you look at Greg Gard's tournament resume at Wisconsin, like he loses early, like every year. It is insane. Like Wisconsin hasn't advanced far in forever. I don't know what it is. I mean, you can chalk it up to bad luck. You can chalk it up to bad matchups. I have no idea. I mean, granted, High Point, they were a very scrappy team. And look what they did in the next game. I mean, High Point was a problem. They definitely were very good, but I don't know, man. I mean, it's just like, would Wisconsin have lost if they had to play like an Akron? I don't know. I think Wisconsin maybe would have won. I don't know. It might have just been that they had the toughest of the 12 seeds. I think that could have been part of it. But still, they should have won. I mean, they lost in the last second play. It's just still, it's like, it's crazy that Wisconsin was playing that well and they still lost in the first round.
Like, Jeffrey, it's one of them games. Like, we won't harp on it too much, but I'm just sitting here, just like disappointed. I'm like, I thought maybe this was the year Wisconsin might have snuck some people, snuck up on some people, meaning they finally make an Elite Eight run, or get to the Final Four because they had the Killer Bees with Nick Boyd and company. And I'm just like, this might be the year. And then they go and do this. When that happened, Jeffrey, I was like, I wonder what Jeffrey's thinking right about now, because Jeffrey, whenever we talk about Wisconsin, you always have that slight hesitation where you're like, should I pick Wisconsin? Should I trust them? I'm starting to have your trust issues, Jeffrey. Wisconsin's like that bad girlfriend. You want to love them and you want to be with them, but you have so much trust issues with them. That's what they are. They're the bad girlfriend of college basketball. Yep, that's what they are. Like, they're bad to Jeffrey. Like, Jeffrey tries to love them, tries to welcome them, and they continue to let him down. I'm over it.
Yeah, I'm over Wisconsin too. I definitely, like, next year I'm not picking them. I don't care.
Okay, Jeffrey, let's talk about some Arkansas. This someone who took care of business against Hawaii. Did you catch any of this game?
I definitely caught the next game. I don't think I saw much of this one. I saw Arkansas second round game, but yeah, I mean, Arkansas, they were too powerful for Hawaii. I mean, they had a good team. Arkansas really came around late. Like, Billy Richmond improved. Trevon Brazile was playing well. Ewan was playing well. Malik Thomas was playing well. All supporting A-Cup. If those guys had been even better, then Arkansas really could have made some noise. But, I mean, they kind of also went up against a buzzsaw in the Sweet 16 too, but like Alabama did. But, yeah, I think Arkansas definitely showed that Calipari had a good team this year.
Mm-hmm. BYU, Texas.
Dude, I picked BYU, and everyone told me not to. So congratulations to everybody who told me not to pick BYU. I should have listened.
And
it sucked, man.
And I picked BYU to go to the Final Four. Listen, I'll be the first to tell you when I've made a mistake, or I try to own up to every wrong pick, and this is one of them right here. I thought with AJ DeBosa, I thought, okay, they've arguably got the best player in basketball today. I was like, they've got enough around him. I'm like, they'll beat the 11 seed, Texas or NC State. But Jeffrey, Texas was just more physical. They were taller. They played better. Tremont Mark and Boca Titus. Like, Texas, Jeffrey, Sean Miller went on another run. Like, he's known to do this from time to time. But Boca Titus missing those free throws kept BYU in the game, but just didn't have enough. And Richie Saunders being out for the year, that sucked. Like, BYU had a very talented team to go far in this thing, but injuries bit them, just like Iowa State. We'll get to that. And Texas Tech. And that's the dark side of the sport too, is the injuries. But Texas, a great win for them. Jeffrey, take it away, my friend.
I absolutely agree with Will. If Saunders wasn't hurt, they could have gone on a run. I agree. I mean, BYU invested so much money into their top three guys that they just didn't have a good team around them. And then Saunders got hurt, and then it just, you just had to limit their two big guys as much as you could, and then the rest of the team you could just kind of forget about them. And that just wasn't. That wasn't helpful at all for BYU's chances. Texas, though, I mean, I got them completely wrong because I picked NC State in the first 4 game, and NC State lost, and then Texas does what they do, so it's good for Texas. didn't see that coming from them. I didn't think they were very good, but Texas ended up being a lot better this year than they were last year. Outside of, they're big at missing the free throws. They had a good game, and they had a good game in the next round too. So definitely got that wrong.
Jeffrey, Mark Few, the old reliable coach, getting another victory. A lot closer than it needed to be. I mean, Gonzaga pulled away late, hit a couple threes late. Graham Ike didn't have his best game, but he did enough at the end to win. Gonzaga, very vulnerable, and it showed against Texas, which we'll talk about here in just a sec. Any thoughts on this game, Jeffrey?
This game showed me that Gonzaga was not for real. I mean, and honestly, I felt that before. I felt that this bracket was not strong. This region. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it was that strong. So I had Gonzaga going, I think, to the Elite Eight. I think I did, just because I had them beating Purdue in the Sweet 16. I thought that, Gonzaga, I had Gonzaga playing BYU, and I thought BYU being weak with no Saunders, Gonzaga could get by them. And then I thought they could get by Purdue because I didn't think Purdue was all that good, which I think Purdue kind of showed that they weren't all that good. And when I mean all that good, I'm not saying Purdue was bad, fans. I'm saying Purdue was not a national championship contender. That's what I mean by that. They weren't for real, but I had Gonzaga going to the Elite Eight because I didn't think that the matchups they were going to face were going to be that hard. But the problem is that I feel like Gonzaga all season long just wasn't their normal self. I know they had a good non-con like always, and they performed well. But then in the WCC, they lost to Portland, which I know you could chalk up as a fluke. But they struggle with St. Mary's. They struggle with Santa Clara. And I know Santa Clara and St. Mary's aren't bad teams, but, St. Mary's kind of proved that they weren't legit. It was I don't know. I think Gonzaga showed that they weren't a high caliber team this year. They weren't one of the better Mark Few teams that he's had in his career. It is what it is. They didn't play very good in that game.
Miami. A lot of people were picking. I saw a lot of people picking Missouri in their brackets because of where it was being hosted at in St. Louis, right? You think, St. Louis, not that far from their campus. It's going to be a pro-Missouri crowd, which it was, but it didn't faze Miami. And we both picked Miami, Jeffrey, so high five on that through the computers. But Miami's physicality, Jeffrey, I know a lot of people say the SEC's they're built on physicality. Missouri did not look like that. Miami looked like they were the bully in the schoolyard in this game with what's the guy from Indiana, Jeffrey? I can't believe I'm blanking on his name now.
Renew.
He was at Indiana.
Malik Renew.
Yeah, Malik Renew. Thank you. Blanking on his name. I don't know why I was. Malik Renew had a heck of a game. Trey Dodson had a really good game as well. Miami was just a better team for 40 minutes, and it showed. It's just one of them. I didn't catch much of this game. I caught the second half, but I went back and watched the highlights, and I was like, oh, okay. Miami just out-physical them altogether. It wasn't just a second half thing. But I want to hear your thoughts, Jeffrey, if you watched any of this game.
I saw some of it. Miami was just dominant overall. They were the way better team than Missouri. Which, I thought Missouri would do better too, considering it was basically a home game. I thought they would perform better, but I don't know. I feel like Miami was just definitely, a pretty competent team. It was a good win for the ACC. I think that Renew showcased that if he had have stayed in Indiana, they would have been in the tournament instead of Miami. I think it was that actually substantial. He was big for Miami. He had a really good season, and by far their best player. And he really, he was from Miami, really embraced that team and that, environment down there. And I was happy for him. A lot of people get mad when a player leaves, and usually I'm frustrated, but you know what? He graduated in Indiana. He wanted his last year to do a change of scenery and stuff. And he had a good year. It was good to see Miami have success, even though, sucks that Indiana couldn't replicate, Miami, year and make the tournament as well. But it was definitely good one for Miami. Kate is coming in here with a $2 super chat. He says, "Drop the link, Jeffries." And I said it's not a call-in show, Caden. And he says, "I've got a few things to say to Austin." So I'm not gonna bring him on because again, we'll never get done if we do. But only if Austin wants to talk to him, which I don't believe Austin wants to talk to him. So, yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, we still got a little bit to go here, and we want to talk about the coaching carousel before the night's over because neither one of us had a chance. And I'm sure Jeffrey wants to give more of his thoughts on more of the coaches and the UNC. So we'll talk about that. But Kate, we do appreciate the super chat. Don't think we don't. But tomorrow night you can call in on Jackson Jeffrey show on Alabama, the voice of college football. Time for another shameless promotion. You got to pay the bills around here. But you can call in there tomorrow. This is just me and Jeffrey. Maybe Absolutely. Jeffrey will do a call-in show. If you drop $100, maybe Jeffrey will do a call-in show next week or something. But Jeffrey, Purdue took care of business. I mean, good for them. I mean, any thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, Purdue completely leveled Queens, and of North Carolina, mind you. And yeah, like Purdue peaked and then fell apart. I mean, like Purdue started out good when they played Queens and they played Miami. They played well, but yeah, I mean, to be honest, Purdue had a good team, but you know what I mean? Like they had a good team. It's just they didn't have a great team. Clough was all right. He was kind of limited. Kaufman Rim was all right, but he was kind of limited. Braden Smith was good. Fletcher Lawyer was the wild card. If he was on, Purdue was good. When he wasn't, Purdue kind of sucked. You needed the only reason Indiana beat Purdue in Assembly Hall is because Fletcher Lawyer was non-existent. I mean, that's just the way it is. Purdue kind of ride or died on whether Lawyer had a good game or
not. But good win for Purdue though. They did. They did their job. They got it done. Arizona, they were up by like 20 in this game, and then Utah State kind of made a push, but Utah State couldn't hit their threes, Jeffrey. Like they kept taking 3 after 3 and just could not hit them. But then Braden Berrios hits the dagger at the end. Like, did you see that shot, Jeffrey? The way he just threw that up there, nothing but net. I was like, are you kidding me? Like that's. And I was like, I knew Arizona was going to win. I was like, oh, this is the year of Arizona if those kind of shots are going to be going in. I mean, good win for Arizona, and they got it done. They did what they were supposed to. Kind of what we thought would happen, like a lot of people thought would happen. Jeffrey, did you catch any of this game, or what's your thoughts on this?
I think I saw some of it. I mean, I was kind of impressed with Utah State that they kept it somewhat competitive. I mean, Arizona is like everybody's talking about the free throw discrepancy, like kind of like with Duke and these other teams. Like Arizona's been to the line a lot more than other teams, but why is that? Because Arizona plays a physical brand of basketball, and they get in the lane every single play, every single possession. Like they make it a point of emphasis to drive and get to the rim. A lot of teams don't get fouled a lot because they don't do that. Like Arizona barely shoots threes. It's wild because in the last few years we've had this revolution of the three. Like it is the shot. Everybody's trying to shoot more threes than the other team and get better looks. And mathematically, you make more threes, you're going to win because of the fact that threes count more than twos. But like Arizona's taking more of an old school approach, and they're just getting inside and scoring around the rim. Like in some of these games, they're only shooting like 8 to 10 threes. So I mean, that's just the style play Arizona's doing, and it's working. So I think it's crazy that Utah State, in hindsight, was actually that competitive with Arizona, considering they've been blowing everybody else off the board.
And this was a sneaky good second round game. Arkansas surviving High Point. This was a fun like NBA style like game. Like if you're not a college hoops fan like me or Jeffrey, and you're just like, but I do like March Madness, but I don't like the way the style they play, which is understandable. Not everybody likes the college style. This was more of your NBA style. That this in the Wisconsin High Point game, that was more of your NBA style. You know, the threes and the fast breaks, like both teams were playing at a high pace, but I gotta say this, Darius Acuff, that's a bad man right there, Jeffrey. Like he took over late and was able to put Arkansas on his back. Um, and Jeffrey, like you said, if Arkansas were to get more production from the supporting cast, they might have played Arizona tighter and better. But what was your thoughts on this game, Jeffrey? Because I thought High Point was going to do it again. I was like, oh, they're going to Calipari, here we go. He's going to blow it. And then Acuff is like, oh, no, not on my watch. Not going to happen.
Yeah, like I said earlier, High Point clearly was the best of the Cinderella type of teams. I know people are like, well, Iowa and Texas were Cinderella. I'm talking about the small schools. I'm talking about the 12 through 16s. High Point was actually very good, and they were a couple baskets away from going to the Sweet 16 and putting themselves in the pantheon of the Loyola Chicagos and the Florida Gulf Coast and the St. Peters and et cetera, George Masons, all that type of stuff. They would have joined that group if they had gone on a little bit more of a run here. But credit to them, because I mean they pushed Arkansas. They gave Arkansas all they could handle and more.
Yes.
That was a good. I watched basically every second of this game. It was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and yeah, Acuff definitely bailed out Arkansas, because I mean High Point, their little short point guard, I don't remember his name, dude. That guy, he had like 30. That dude was balling. I mean, him and Acuff were going. Like, you think about like Acuff's this big dude, going to be a top 5 to 7 draft pick, and then you got this High Point guy. It's like 5'10", he's small, whatever. It kind of reminded you of Max Amos and Oral Roberts. That's what High Point, reminded me of, and it was just. It was a fun game. It was one of the better games of the tournament. Even though you look at the score, like, oh, Arkansas won by 6, it was down to the wire. Arkansas had some free throws, but it was a great game, really good game.
Yes, I was like you, Jeffrey. I watched every minute of this game. This was high-level basketball at its finest, and I'm like, if you aren't like excited as a fan watching this, I don't know what's going to get you excited. This was high-level stuff. The High Point point guard, Jeffrey, he's like Roadrunner. Meet me. Like every time Acuff would score, they'd throw the ball into him, and he would be right down the court, layup, going back the other way. And I'm like, oh, Arkansas's in trouble. And Jeffrey, he started the game. He hit 2 threes back to back, and he hit like almost a half court, like 3 there midway through the first half. And I'm like, oh, we in for this type of game, are we? Like this was I want to say this is an underrated tournament game that maybe won't get talked about for years to come, but this is going to be one of them underrated tournament games. Arkansas, Arizona in the Sweet 16. We kind of both referenced it. Arizona flexed their muscles. Jaden Bradley had one of his better games up to this point. He was kind of like, won't say he was playing bad or anything. He hadn't hit his stride yet, but this game he did. And Arkansas was just outmatched from the beginning. The size of Arizona gave a lot of teams trouble. And it showed even with Arkansas, and it showed with Purdue, who's a pretty big team themselves, which we'll get to that in a second. But Arizona, Jeffrey, they kind of silenced a lot of doubters this year, able to win, game after game after game. And I know it helps to have 7-footers on your team, but they kept silencing critics, because I know a lot of people were like, oh, Arkansas, one of the hottest teams coming into the tournament. John Calipari, they won the SEC championship. This is the year for Arkansas to go on one of them vintage runs. And then Arizona just shut that all down immediately. And they led from start to finish, and it never seemed like Arkansas could get a rhythm or look like they were going to be even in this game. So great win for Arizona, great win. And I'm sure, Jeffrey, once Arizona made it to the Elite Eight, you were like, I did a good job picking Arizona to make it to the Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, this was the game where I truly was like, all right, Arizona, that, like you said, was a good pick to have them going that far, and that they were legitimately a national championship contender. Because, I mean, Arkansas proved late in the year and so far in March Madness up to that point that they were a good team. And, I mean, Arizona manhandled them. I mean, granted, sometimes it's just your night, but, like, Arizona, just everything was going in for them. I mean, Arkansas could not stop them at all. It was definitely not a defensive game. I mean, both teams were just shooting the lights out. I mean, Arkansas, like 88 points is good. I mean, they lost by 21. I mean, lots of college basketball teams don't typically lose by 21 scoring 88. That's not common. And, I mean, they just got destroyed. Like, Acuff put up a lot of points, but everyone for Arizona was putting up points. I mean, it definitely – of all the performances in March Madness, that win by Arizona over Arkansas was one of the highest, best performances in March so far.
Mm-hmm. So, Jeffrey, Texas Gonzaga. Texas, Jeffrey, what a win. I mean, put Mark Few out. And, Jeffrey, this is the second year in a row that Gonzaga has failed to make a Sweet 16 under Mark Few. And I know a lot of people have already started. I've seen the chat on the social medias of, has Mark Few lost his touch? I mean, I understand why people are going to start questioning, right? He made, I think like 23 straight Sweet 16s. It was some crazy record. And then the last 2 years, he's failed to get there, and he lost to a Texas team. Like, here's the thing. The Texas team, in my opinion, I think they were a really good team. Tremont Mark, Boca Titus, they had a really good team. John Miller put a good team together, and they got it going at the right time. It's just when you're Gonzaga, though, you're supposed to win this game. You're supposed to at least be a Sweet 16 every year, at worst. Like, that's what they come to expect with Mark Few, and this is the second year in a row he's gotten put out. And Texas just played better and just played more together than Gonzaga. Like, I don't know if there's much more to tell than that. Like, Gonzaga just wasn't all there, whereas Texas, they wanted it more. And that just looks like what it came down to.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I also agree with Will here that Huff's injury hurt Zags to a lesser extent than Saunders with BYU. But, I mean, Huff was a solid player. It put all the pressure on Ike, to have to ball out. Like, I never felt that Gonzaga's guards this season were that good. Like, in the St. Mary's game, no one was stepping up. The one in Moraga that I streamed. It's just none of them, were that great. Like, Ty and Grant Foster was okay. That dude's last name was like Innocente or some whatever his name was. And none of those dudes were very good. None of them were good. I mean, no offense, but like they weren't Nimhard. They weren't Suggs. They weren't Wilcher. They just none of them were ballers. None of them were good. Okay, they were not vintage Mark Few guards. They were just whatever players. They were okay. They were all okay. They didn't have a guy that could get them 25, at the guard position. Like that's normally what Mark Few has. And it was just a lot of Ike. And Ike played good against Texas. He had a good game. He got in foul trouble a little bit, but he had a good game. But I mean, Texas Weaver played good. That big that missed the free throws, he had a good game. Boga Titus, or however you pronounce his name. I hate when I pronounce names wrong, but I try my best. But it's like Texas played harder. Texas played better. And Gonzaga's guards, yet again, were just not good enough. So, yeah, I think it's not Mark Few like losing his touch or he can't coach anymore. I just don't think he had good enough guards. I mean, if he's going to make another deep run in March in the last few years of his career or whatever, he's just going to have to get better guards again. He just didn't have them this year.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing too, Jeffrey. We live in a society now where they want instant gratification. It's like, and if you have an expectation, they're like, this is what we need to meet. And if you don't meet that, we got to throw you out. Mm-hmm. And I understand, like sometimes, yes, but it's just like Mark Few is still one of the greatest coaches in history. And he's obviously, I think, the greatest coach in Gonzaga history. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn saying that. So the last couple of years have been rough. Now, if next year he goes on a big run, I think we kind of need to settle down. But if he loses in the first round or does this again, then maybe we could start the conversation. But as for now, like he played two really good teams in Houston and Texas. Let's not be hasty and throw the baby out with the bathwater, as Jackson says. Jeffrey Purdue got it done against Miami. The bigs once again for Purdue showed up big time. And Braden Smith, all-time assist leader in college basketball history, passed that in the Queens game, but he continued to show his passing prowess in this game, made a couple nice dimes. I mean, I didn't see much of this game, but what I saw of it looked like Purdue handled business pretty well.
Yeah, that sums it up. I saw some of it too. I didn't see the entire game, but Miami hung around. There were moments, it kind of felt like the Louisville Michigan State game where like Miami was hanging around and they had moments where it felt like they could cut the lead, but Purdue kind of kept them at arm's length. That was the vast majority of the game. It's a very general way of summing it up because I didn't see the entire game, but like Miami was just pretty outmatched. They tried, they hung around, but it just wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm. Texas Purdue, Jeffrey.
Texas
this is
won.
a game to me. Yes, I agree. Here's the thing. And Jeffrey, I'm going to steal your thunder. Purdue got away with so many dang calls in this game. Like, listen, I'm going to say Jeffrey the despair here. Like, I know Purdue fans like to pick on Jeffrey. Bring it my way tonight because I'm about ready to do some heavy Purdue here. Like, don't get me wrong. Matt Painter's a great head coach. Braden Smith, Fletcher Lloyd, those are all great players. I have nothing against them. But Purdue got away with so many fouls. The hook and hold. What they call them Bocatitis. I understand, like, that's a dangerous position. But when Trey Kaufman-Renn is literally the one doing it and then forcing Titus into him, how is that on Bocatitis at all? How do you call that on him? If anything, that's the offensive player, and that should be going the other way. And that's what I dislike about that, Jeffrey, is they always get the defensive guy. They never call the offensive foul. They never do that. Like, and that's what drives me nuts. And that's like, and I understand, like, sometimes it's bang bang and the refs can't see it, but that was clear as day. They even said on the commentary, they seen it and they were like, oh, that should have been on Kaufman-Renn, not Bocatitis. And they even had an appeal for that, Jeffrey, and they still kept the call.
Yeah. It's bogus.
Like, really, guys?
Yeah, Will said the ref didn't even call it foul at the end of the game, talking about Kaufman-Renn late. But my thing is that I remember Nembhard at Creighton when they played San Diego State. You remember that game? Everybody remembers that game, I think. They called that foul on him with 1 second left, and it was weak.
Yeah.
It was weak.
Yeah.
And they ruined Creighton's game. They lost. So I don't want to hear that. I don't want to – it's nothing against you, Will, because I agree with you that 99% of the time the ref won't make the call, but there have been times that they have. There have been times that they have called fouls. I've seen fouls. There was a game – I can't remember what game it was. It was in the ACC tournament. What was that game? It was that NC State game a few years ago. I don't remember who they were playing. I just remember NC State.
Against Virginia.
That foul with against Virginia. They called that foul with like 0.5 left. You remember that. So I don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear it. I've seen ridiculous foul calls at the end of the game. Trey Kaufman-Renn not only hooked the Texas guy, not only hooked, he also pushed off to score.
Yes.
And it's just like, okay. You know what I'm saying? So pet peeve of mine, but the fouling at the end of the game, I remember it's a game no one remembers, but Christian Lander for Indiana in 2021. Indiana lost to Syracuse in double overtime at Syracuse. They called a foul on Christian Lander for putting his hand on the side of the Syracuse player as he went up for a layup that he missed with 0.4 left in double overtime. Syracuse won the game. Hit both free throws.
Yes.
I can go on and on. So the foul at the end of the game is crap because that is a foul on Trey Kaufman-Renn. Trey Kaufman-Renn fouled. And not only did he foul all game, he fouled at the end of the game. He fouled at the very end of the game,
Yes.
and it was obvious. And like I said, I'm not a Texas fan here or anything, but Texas should have won. They played better than Purdue. And if you look at the foul line discrepancy, Purdue shot a lot more free throws in the game. Purdue got all the calls late.
Yes.
And it's just, I mean, again, if you watch the game, if you're an unbiased fan, obviously if you're a Purdue fan, you're a Purdue fan. You're whatever. You got the blinders on, whatever. But for all you people that are not Purdue fans or Texas fans,
me and you,
unbiasedly looking at that game, Purdue got a lot of favorable crap. They should not have won that game, and I don't see how that's even disputed.
yes.
To me, this was one of the worst referee games in March Madness this year. And I hate bringing it up, but you said it, I said it, we all saw it. Twitter was losing it. Like, I saw fans from Baylor and Carolina and Michigan. Everyone was talking about how poorly refereed this game was. It sucked. It was horrible.
Yes.
And like I said,
Yes.
Texas, it makes it worse that Texas outplayed Purdue. Visibly
Yes.
outplayed Purdue. And they still lost.
Yes.
And it's just so, and like, and all exemplified on that final play with Trey Kaufman-Renn. I mean, Trey Kaufman-Renn, he is not going to be a good pro at all. That guy, he's not the best basketball player in the world. The only reason he succeeds is because he just bully balls. That, like, he's a way worse Cameron Boozer. I mean, because they're very similar players. Cameron Boozer's just a better player, but
see,
I mean, this was a terrible game for referees. Terrible.
And see, here's the thing that would chafe my lips, right? I'm like you, Jeffrey. If you're gonna call the foul, I don't care when you call it. Just be consistent when you call it. That's all I ask. If there is a foul to be called, call it right, okay? And it's just like the flopping, right? It's gotten way out of hand. And and it drives me nuts. And college is starting to get that way too. Not as bad, but the NBA is real bad because you've got players now, because like the OKC Thunder, they drive me out of my flipping mind. They are all over the floor flopping. That's beside the point. But in college, we're getting that way too. Like there was a couple in the Louisville game from earlier, like where Colin Carr, where he literally just backs into the defender and then throws up the shot, and they call the foul. And you could see the defender with his hands down here, but they still call the foul. Like, what are you supposed to do? And the Kaufman-Renn, he's literally got his hand on his shoulder as he's going up. Like, what is Titus supposed to do? Like, that is a foul. Yeah. Like, I'm like you, Jeffrey. Like Purdue got a lot of favorable calls. And since we're on this, now let's go to the Elite Eight, Arizona, Purdue. And Jeffrey, I heard Purdue fans out the yin-yang. Oh my gosh, these referees are against us. They're Arizona referees. It's because we're at San Jose. Oh, it's Pac-12 bias. They're trying to keep it alive. And I'm like,
the thing that's so really funny about it, Austin, is that it is the very next game. Because again, I commented a couple times on the Texas Purdue game, and I had Purdue fans coming after me, especially some of them know that I, looking at my history of supporting Indiana. Oh, he's just a Purdue hater. Okay, so it wasn't just me. If I was the only one, it'd be different. Everybody was calling out Purdue got help in that Texas game. Like, everyone called it out. Everyone was in agreement on it, except Purdue fans. Oh, no, it was a fair game. We were just better than Texas. So the funny thing about it is, like you said, very next game, I'm laughing so hard. I watched all of this game, and all the calls were going against Purdue, and I'm like, see how it feels. You see how it feels. Oh, my gosh, it's rigged. Oh, like you said, it's Pac-12 bias or Big 12 bias now. It's Arizona bias, all this crap. And I'm just like, okay. Yeah, I mean, how the tables have turned here kind of have a different tune now when it's going against you, considering that it's been going for you your entire existence, Purdue, like all during the Big Ten stretch, all during the Big Ten the Big Ten tournament, all during March Madness. You get all the calls, but then the one game you don't get all the calls. So again, you know how it feels now. Because again, I've watched many a Purdue game in Mackey Arena, and that place, I mean, I don't know how anybody wins in Mackey Arena. Oh, it's just the environment. It's the same thing with the Fog. It's nothing against the Fog, but like you said, Austin, some of these places, the referees, even me and Will have talked about it, feels like they get blinded by the crowd, and they don't want the crowd to turn on them. So it's like they start calling a bunch of fouls, and the crowd just goes crazy and all that. And they don't want the fans throwing drinks at them and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like they let these big atmospheres blind their calls.
Mhm.
They really do.
Well,
Like Indiana, is not a good team, but there's been many games they played Mackey that maybe they would have had a shot, but the rest call everything Purdue's way. And it's just everyone knows this, but it's like I said, the one time Purdue does not get favorable help and their fans are losing it. And it's just like you don't understand how hypocritical you are right now.
And here's the funny thing too. Like, in all credit to Arizona, they played a great game. Like, they really did. They were the better team. But it's funny though, Jeffrey, like on that point, I was like scrolling through X, Twitter, doing the thing, and one of the people made the comment. They said, "Oh, the NCAA favoritism. They sent Arizona to San Jose, California. Oh, that's where the Pac-12 Arizona fans live. Like, of course Purdue's gonna lose. They're in Indiana." And I'm like, you do realize, like, as the 1 seed, you get to pick your destination. It's like the college football playoffs. You get to pick where you go when you're the 1 seed. You get a choice of, do you want to go to Pasadena? Do you want to go to New Orleans? Like, you get that choice. And it's like one of them. Purdue was acting like it's only them. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, this is not a new thing. I remember the year North Carolina got the 1 seed. And they played, I think it was Oregon or Kentucky, one of the two, and it was in like Raleigh, like right up the road. And people were like, "Oh, that's North Carolina bias. How dare they?" And it's like, they're the 1 seed, guys. They get to pick the destination. It's part of their benefit. They don't get to pick who's in their bracket, but they get to pick where they start at or where they end up at if it favors them. But to that point, we're getting off on a tangent here, and we're run out of time. Good win by Arizona, though. And Purdue, they were a good team. Matt Painter's a great coach. Like, don't let me and Jeffrey ever tell you he's not. He's a great coach. Great coach. But Purdue just was not the better team that day. Go ahead, Jeffrey. You got any final thoughts? And we can put this to bed.
Definitely. That sums it up. Arizona just dominated Purdue. They dominated Purdue in the most Purdue way possible by pounding it inside, being relentless. And, Purdue just didn't have a shot.
Now, Jeffrey, let's go to the South region. Florida dominated, did their thing. Kudos to them. The Mighty Gators, as some people like to call them, did their thing.
This has to be one of the biggest fool's gold performances of all time, though, because the way Florida looked in this game, again, you would have thought Florida was going all the way, and I mean that. I was even questioning, all right, Florida looked a lot better than Houston. Maybe I should have picked Florida. Maybe I should have picked all the 1 seeds to go to the Final Four. But Florida, they were incredible for one game. That's all you can say. And this is another game here, this Iowa Clemson game. I picked Clemson. I got it wrong. But I
told you.
This was another game, man, where I was like, dude, Iowa was pounding it inside. They were playing that slow, methodical pace, and they were hitting their free throws. Clemson just, I don't know, man. They just kept shooting a bunch of threes. I think Clemson should have played Iowa style and pounded it inside. I know they don't have the biggest team.
I remember.
Yeah.
Not to cut you off, Jeffrey. Sorry about that. But I just remember, Jeffrey, we flipped on this game because me and you were both like struggling. And I said, there's something about Iowa. There's just something about this team. They're the plunky team, with Sturts. Like, they're that team that's going to surprise some people. And I even said that out loud, and you can even go back and watch it. I said, Iowa might be a sleeper dark horse. And you were like, I don't know if I can trust them enough. And I remember, Jeffrey, you were like, I'll go Clemson. And then I went Iowa, and I'm watching this game, and I'm thinking, I think Jeffrey made a bad pick picking Clemson. I think he really did. I think he bought the Brownell Kool-Aid. And Jeffrey, and it showed too. The thing was, Iowa just looked like the more complete team. Like, you would think, like, a lot of people would think the team that has no like king of the court, so to speak, like in Arizona, like a Michigan, like a guy that they know, oh, this is where the ball is going. You would think that would work in Clemson's favor. Like,
Mhm.
oh, anybody can do it, but it didn't. Benedict Sturts, like, he took over late in this game. He was like, and here's the thing too, Jeffrey, he did it with his playmaking too. Like, that's what makes him great. He does it with his playmaking, and guys were hitting shots. Like, I'm glad I picked Iowa. I'm glad I picked the Hawkeyes. Thank you, Ben McCollum. I needed one to go my way after a couple. We'll get that Santa Clara Kentucky game. I still can't believe I lost that pick, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. And North Carolina. I'm still mad about that. But go ahead, though, Jeffrey, on this game if you got anything else.
I mean, not too much. I mean, like I said, Clemson, they didn't have that alpha player. They didn't have that guy to really rally the team, and that really showed. I mean, no one was doing anything. And like I said, Iowa was just they were playing what the kind of game the refs were calling. Iowa was just like, all right, we're gonna get the ball inside, we're gonna pound it inside, get to the rim, and they hit their free throws. Clemson was not. They were just chunking up a bunch of crap, and they lost. I mean, I think Clemson could have won the game if they had actually tried to play to Iowa's style and get inside, get to the line. But it is what it is for Brad Brownell. I mean, I just believe that they would do better because of the fact that he'd been doing a little bit better in March recently. But, kudos to Iowa.
Vandy, Jeffrey, took care of business against McNeese. This is another one. The box score is very deceiving. Vandy had control of this game from the beginning, and they looked like a team that could make a real deep run in this tournament. And I thought, okay, here comes Vandy. Here we go. This is the team that we're like a lot of people were picking as like an upset bid to win the West. If you weren't picking one of the two favorites, and they looked the part. I mean, was there? I don't think there was any surprise to this. I mean, I know some people were like, "Oh, McNeese State was kind of trendy there for a minute," but I think me and you were kind of like, Vandy just beat Florida by double digits, and they almost beat Arkansas to win the SEC title. I think they're going to be a little more motivated. I'm glad we picked Vandy. I'm glad we didn't drink no Kool-Aid on this one.
Yeah, I didn't buy it with either Vandy or Nebraska, honestly. I thought both would win. I was actually a little more worried about Nebraska just for the fact they ain't ever won a tournament game, but I'm glad we didn't consider picking it up to there either because Nebraska completely pounded Troy. But, yeah, the Vandy game with McNeese, they really controlled the game. And, even though it was relatively not a blowout, 78-68, they were in complete control for sure.
Nebraska took care of business. I know. I think I picked Nebraska. I picked Nebraska. I think I did. Yes, I did. I flirted with Troy, but I think I picked Nebraska. And I said, and Jeffrey, Nebraska was hitting their shots. I mean, they looked like a team. Like they looked really good this game. And I thought at first, Jeffrey, after this game was over, I was like, I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid. I'm like, it is Troy. It is one of these mid-majors. But then when they beat Vandy, which we'll get to here in a minute, I'm like, okay, maybe Nebraska is going to be a quote-unquote Cinderella. They're going to wear the slipper. But great win for Nebraska. Great win for Fred Hoiberg and his kids.
And their first tournament win ever, which is insane.
I know, right? Like, I heard that when we first did our predictions, I was like, really? They haven't won a tournament game? And then I thought, well, Nebraska basketball hasn't been good a lot of years either. They've been kind of down in the dump. All right, Jeffrey, I want to see your beautiful face for this one. Because what in the world? Jeffrey, I try to back your Tar Heels. I try to think, you know what? It's North Carolina. They've got the better team. They're playing good. I know they're hurt, but still they're the more talented team. They beat Duke earlier this year. They're built for this. This is their time. And they were up 19. I was like, man, I know Jeffrey somewhere is like, he's getting the pom-poms out. This is good. I picked North Carolina, and this crap happens. And I'll be honest, Jeffrey, I don't normally do it, but I flew a cuss word out at North Carolina. I was mad. I was like, I did. I was like, You, I was, but Jeffrey, since you're the resident Tar Heel, I'll let you have the floor. But congrats to Will, though. Go ahead, Jeffrey. Go ahead.
The funny thing about it is that I didn't see the beginning of this game. I didn't see the good part of the game. I saw the end of the game when it started going wrong. So my perspective on this game is not a lot of the highs. It was a lot of the lows. And what's so frustrating is that I was right. I mean, like you said, up 19. I mean, I was told by somebody they were up big. And I was like, okay, good. Like, they're doing good. And like I said, I wasn't watching the game at the time. And I was like, all right. I mean, it was one of those situations where I hope I was wrong, right? Like, I picked VCU, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope Carolina wins, blah, blah, blah. Well, free throws. I mean, at the end of the day, like, free throws, just like some of the other games we've talked about, it was the difference. If Carolina had made their free throws, they win. But Trimble and Vasar, and all of them just couldn't even hit their free throws. Couldn't inbound the ball. Hubert Davis did not use timeouts when they couldn't inbound the ball. Kept turning it over. And like Will said, VCU kept the effort going. Hill was making shots. He had like 30. And Carolina, yeah, it did just kind of seem like they thought it was over. They thought that they had the game in the bag, and it was not. It was not the case. And it's pathetic. They should have won. But again, shoulda, coulda, woulda. They lost, and congratulations to VCU. It's a big win for them. But, yeah, they ended up getting Hubert Davis fired in the end, which sucks. I hate to see that. But, you know, if they get a really good coach, then it'll end up working out. But, you know, that was tough because they should have won this game.
Which, if we have a little time at the end, we're going to talk about that a little bit more in depth. If we have a little more time, like, because I want to hear Jeffrey's thoughts on who he would want to take the job. But good win for VCU. Jeffrey, Illinois, what a win for the Illini. You know, dominant victory over Penn, you know, and I know a lot of people, you know, would say, well, it's an Ivy League school there, Austin. Like, of course they're going to win. But I saw some people picking this as upset because Brad Underwood has been known to lose these type games, but he got it done. I mean, 105 points. Illinois clicking at the right time. I don't know what more you could say about this other than Illinois did what they were supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, it was not close at all. It wasn't as bad as Florida Prairie View, but it was definitely it was more toward that vein. It was just a big blowout. Penn had no shot. I mean, the Ivy League has had some years where they've got some upsets. The unfortunate thing for the Ivy League is that Penn won the tournament. And Penn was definitely not the best team in that conference. You know, I vividly remember watching the Ivy League tournament. I saw a couple of the games, and like Yale or Harvard, Princeton, they're usually better. Penn's usually not it. Penn got the win. It was good for them. But I think that if the Ivy League had got one of their better teams in the tournament, they might have had a better shot to pull an upset like sometimes they normally do. But, yeah, Penn was no match for Illinois.
Jeffrey, Texas A&M just outplayed St. Mary's. And we both picked Randy Bennett and St. Mary's because we were like, he's always consistent. He wins one of these, right? And they just outplayed them, Jeffrey. They played St. Mary's game, and they beat them at their own game. They were physical. They were faster. And I thought, and that's how you have to beat St. Mary's. Just play their game and be better than them. And Texas A&M was. I give credit to them. They looked like they wanted to be there more. And I watched this game, and I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be like a 55-52 type game. And Texas A&M just absolutely was just – they were out here. Like, St. Mary's never looked like they were going to win this thing. Not even – I never had a doubt. I was like, okay. I was like, chalk that up as a loss on the record books. Like, A&M was the better team, unfortunately for St. Mary's.
Yeah, I was shocked by this. I thought St. Mary's would win. I usually trust Randy Bennett, St. Mary's to get at least one win. I didn't think A&M was all that good. Everybody was talking about A&M's style was going to clash with St. Mary's, and St. Mary's was going to have their way. No, this game was horrible. It was a slugfest. It was ugly, and A&M just out bully balled St. Mary's, and it was one of the shockers of the first round. You know, a lot of people didn't talk about this game, but, it was a big shock to me. I thought St. Mary's would get it done. You know, it was crazy to see them not only lose, but lose the way they did.
Mm-hmm. Houston, Jeffrey, took care of business. I mean, Not more you can say about that. I mean, good for Houston. This game right here, Jeffrey, I picked Florida to go to the Final Four. And Florida was not a bad pick to go to the Final Four. They had a really talented team. They could have done it. But Jeffrey, Iowa, they led most of the way in this game. And Jeffrey, I want to say this. I don't know if you watched any of this game or if you had time to, but I hope you saw the end of the game. Typically, when you got there was like I think 8 seconds, I think it was 8 7 seconds. Benedict Sturts just literally walks it up the floor, kicks it to the corner, splash. Florida's down one, and in that moment, I'm like, I know you don't have no fouls to give. I know you don't got no fouls to give, but why are you not pressuring? Why are you not making it harder for him to get it up the floor? Like, it's one thing if he gets past you and then gets it out of the pressure. That's fine. You live with that. Like, you know what they say, you live by the sword, you die by it. But he was just basically just walking up the court, like on a picnic with his dog and his girlfriend, like, oh, hey, oh, let me throw it over here. 3 ball. See you bye, Florida. And I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, guys, like, I'm guessing you all are just forgetting that you need to play defense. And then Jeffrey, then the Florida sequence at the end, I don't know if you saw that one either. He could have laid the ball up, but he tried to pass it. And I'm like, you could have laid it up off the glass. Like, there was no shot blocker. They were sticking with the big guy there. But instead, he passed it. They deflected. It's game over. And I'm like, unbelievable. I'm like, so much for Florida. Go ahead, though, Jeffrey. I want to hear your take on this if you watched any of it.
A lot of what you just said is my take on it. I mean, I did see the end of the game. I didn't watch the entire game, but I saw the end. I saw that the game was close, and I turned it on, and I was like, okay. For one, I was shocked Iowa was hanging around. I'm like, really? Like, after what Florida did to Prairie View, and it's not like Iowa was all that impressive against Clemson. I'm like, all right, Florida's going to blow them out. So what's going on? Iowa just methodically, they got that style of offense where they're like Virginia, where they kind of hold the ball for like the most possession and they try to get a good, shot at the end of the shot clock. Works sometimes, but to me, I think the bigger story than even the ending, which I will discuss the ending, is just that Florida just did not play good. Florida was sloppy. Florida made a lot of mistakes. Florida was just, it was another game where it felt like Iowa was playing harder. It felt like Florida maybe thought Iowa would be easier to beat. I don't know what it was. But all I know is that there was an altercation earlier in the game where, I don't know if you saw it, but Ben McCollum and Todd Golden got into it or whatever. They were yelling at each other. And it's just like, Todd Golden should have bottled up that energy to his team. And I don't know if he did. I'm sure he did because I wasn't looking at him the whole game. But it's just like, man, it just seemed like Florida was kind of sleepwalking in that game. It really, you hate to say that because you want to feel like every team's giving 110% every single possession in March Madness. Like, why wouldn't you? But it just did not feel like Florida was giving 110%. It's nothing against Iowa. I mean, I'm not trying to say, oh, well, Iowa, got lucky or they didn't play. No, Iowa played very well, and they did force Florida into a lot of errors, but Florida just did not show up for the vast majority of this game. And like you said, nothing more exemplary than that final play. I mean, you've got Bennett Sturts. You think he's going to be the one to shoot it, and he just walks down the floor. And, I mean, he kicks it to the big guy. His name's like – I don't know how to pronounce it, man. But it starts with an F. But that guy, his first name's like Alvaro or whatever. But I can't – his last name's kind of tough to pronounce. But that player, that guy is just wide open. Like, he is so wide open. Like, no one was even guarding. That Florida's defense on that play was abysmal. I mean, it was absolutely abysmal. Yes. I mean, if that guy had missed the shot, it would have been crazy. I mean, he was wide open, but he makes a three, and then like Florida is, you think they're done, but there's still like 4 seconds left. And like you said, Xavier Lee, that's his name. Xavier Lee for Florida drove down the floor, and he's got a wide open layup attempt, and he just doesn't shoot it. And it's like, you miss, but he doesn't shoot it, and then they run out of time, and I'm just like, okay. So all I know is that Florida just sucked. They were horrible, which is insane because considering how well Florida played that 12-game win streak down the stretch in the SEC season, that win against Prairie View, I thought Florida was I think Florida was a great team. I think Florida really was. They were a really great team. But for whatever reason, Iowa just either Florida didn't take them seriously or Iowa's style of play just kind of shocked. I don't know what it was, but Florida just didn't play good. And Iowa won. But again, kudos to Iowa, credit to Iowa, but that to me was more on Florida than anything else. Now, this other game here, Vandy, Nebraska, that was one of the games at the tournament. That's up there with UConn Duke. That's up there with High Point, Wisconsin. This game, Tanner's three. That's all I gotta say. Tanner's 3-point attempt, that thing was in. It's like the Butler game. And everybody knows what I'm talking about. The Butler game. That was in. That shot was in.
That close. And here's the thing with that too, Jeffrey. That thing, I was watching it. I didn't get to watch all of the game. I got to watch like the last 5 minutes of it, right? And I'm watching this, and this is one of them like gunslinger type shootouts. It's like, and I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, this is college basketball at its peak. This is Vandy, Nebraska. And at the end, Jeffrey, Nebraska hits the shot of shots, and I'm thinking Nebraska's going to do it. And Tanner just chucks that thing in the air, and I'm like, okay, this is going to miss. Like, Nebraska's going to the Sweet 16. Good for them. And it rims in and out, and you could see everyone's face, Jeffrey. They're all like all the Nebraskas, they went from like the thrill of like, oh, our season's over. Like even the players were like, we thought it went in. We thought our season was over. Like Jeffrey, like it's that close. That close. This is one of the games, Jeffrey. I tell people all the time, it's one of them games you hate to see a team lose. Like this is one of those games. Like you just like to see a team lose because both these teams earned the right to be in that Sweet 16. Like, no matter who would have won. I mean, just an incredible game overall. And good for them. Nebraska, Iowa, Jeffrey, meeting for the third time this season in the Sweet 16. The Hawkeyes, Jeffrey, got it done.
Yeah, I was shocked by this. I thought Nebraska would win after beating Vandy. I felt like Iowa was, again, maybe I under discredited Iowa a bit for that win. I still just felt like Florida, didn't play good. But I mean, again, Iowa, for whatever reason, it just seemed like their style of play it just kind of reminds you of Jim Boeheim zone defense crap that he used to have in the 2000s, early 2010s when Syracuse used to be good. It's gimmicky. I'm not saying Iowa plays like Syracuse. I'm just saying that it's that gimmicky team. It messes with you. How many years did Boeheim get big wins in March that you just never felt like they should have got? Like the biggest one I always think of is 2013 Indiana. I mean, Indiana, that was the last elite Indiana team in 2013. Number one seed. And Tom Crean and Indiana with Yogi and Victor Oladipo and Cody Zeller and all those dudes sucked. Absolutely just that zone defense from Syracuse in the Sweet 16 just killed them. And it's like Iowa's just slow, methodical, pass first. Like Sturt's just running around in circles and they're just holding the ball and then they score. I mean, it's weird. It's just a weird gimmicky thing McCollum had going on there. But it worked. I don't know what it was. I mean, just team couldn't figure it out. Like Nebraska, to me, Nebraska and Florida were way better than Iowa. But they lost. And that's what March is all about. I mean, Iowa showed up when they needed to. I mean, this definitely wasn't the team that lost to Maryland. When Iowa lost to Maryland, I mean, they sucked. I mean, hey, UConn lost to Marquette and Hurley got a Tech at the end of the regular season. So some of these really good teams could lose. I just didn't think Iowa was all that good. And even watching them in March Madness, I never really was impressed with them, but they won. So, I mean, you can't dispute what they did. It was a really good run, and they beat legitimate teams too. It's not like they went on some run and they beat Florida, they beat Nebraska, they beat Clemson. I mean, those were good wins. So, I mean, a lot of credit.
Yes, I mean Iowa definitely played some of their better basketball, and they won some legitimate games. That's the thing. Like you said, they beat Florida, the defending champs. They beat a very good Nebraska team. They beat a Clemson team. You know, that many people would say didn't really think was that good, but like Iowa was quote unquote wearing the slipper this year. VCU, they were way in over their head. Like Illinois and Brad Underwood took advantage of their size and just dominated VCU, and it kind of just was like this was over before it even started on that side of the spectrum. Um, like very good game for Illinois.
Oh yeah, I mean Illinois, really the entire tournament, they've been impressive. Like they're a team that even now I don't think is really getting talked about enough. I mean, I've been very
Mm-hmm.
impressed with them. I didn't think that they would go as far as they did. I didn't think they would get past Houston. I had Houston going further. Houston struggled. I know we're not at that game, but like Illinois dominated VCU. I mean, they absolutely dominated Penn. They dominated VCU. And Will said earlier about the size. I mean, VCU couldn't match up with the size. And Houston, it wasn't one of their bigger teams. Like Samson's had some bigger Houston teams. I just felt like Houston's physicality would cause problems for Illinois, and Illinois caused problems for Houston. It's crazy
Mm-hmm.
how Brad Underwood has completely transformed Illinois. I mean, I remember when he had Kofi Cockburn and a couple of good guards. That was about all he had, and then he abandoned that. And now he's going with these stretch guys, and now they've got. I mean, Illinois is like they're known as like the Euro League team at this point. I mean, like they got a lot of guys from European basketball, and they're playing a modern
Mm-hmm.
stretch offense. And they got tall guys,
Mm-hmm.
and they can pass, and they can shoot, and they can defend. I mean, they're a problem. I mean, it's crazy because, like I said, Illinois back in the Cockburn era was just an old school back to the basket post type of offense, and now they've completely changed that. He's changed the roster. He's got good players, and I mean, yeah, they're a good team.
Mm-hmm. And you done mentioned it, Jeffrey. I mean, Houston took care of Texas A&M pretty handily, might I add. We're the more physical team. I mean, the game that we could talk about since you brought it up, Illinois beat Houston, and Jeffrey, like you'd pick Houston out of this region. This was one of your two that did not land. Duke was the other one. Like you said, Jeffrey, the size, the defense of Illinois was really great. They picked it up in intensity, and like Houston, like what is Houston's biggest thing? They're always the team that bugs you with their length and size and could play 3-and-D. And they got outplayed. Illinois and Brad Underwood played a heck of a defensive game plan. And I just think personally, Jeffrey, I'm happy for Brad Underwood. Like personally, I was cheering for him. Like I'll admit, I was like, go Illinois. Like Brad Underwood, finally get the monkey off your back. First time since 2005. I mean, because Jeffrey, there was a point in time where you labeled Brad Underwood as the choker, right? Like I remember we had past drink talk about that where he said he can't win the big game, or I don't trust Illinois. Like Jeffrey, after seeing this performance and him making a run, spoiler alert for the game we're about ready to get to, um, are you ready to give Brad Underwood? Are you ready to do like you did with Rick Barnes and take the label off? Are you ready to trust Brad Underwood a little bit more?
Yeah, I think both Tommy Lloyd and Brad Underwood have kind of done that this season. I mean, because they both were known as kind of choke artists, losing early. I mean, they're not choking now. I mean, they're going far. I mean, they got really good teams. I mean, that's the thing. It's like when you've got, and I said at the beginning of the tournament, I'm like, even though I wasn't picking Illinois to go as far as they have, I was like, this is the year if Illinois is going to make a run. This is the year. They've got a very favorable bracket. Penn wasn't strong. VCU or North Carolina didn't seem like that would be that tough. Houston would have been tough, but I mean, now they got by them. It's like this was the year that they needed to make a run, and they're doing it. So credit to Brad Underwood for finally doing it. But if they had lost early, it would have been really bad because this was a very favorable situation for them.
Mm-hmm. And this is one of them, like, all credit to Illinois for getting it done. And Iowa, Iowa, Illinois. Iowa, was just outmatched physically. Illinois was a more physical team, and they just played better. Like the Cinderella run came to an end. I mean, and here's the thing too. Like I'll say this: congratulations to Illinois and all their fans. Like it's good to see a team like Illinois go far and finally get something. It's been since 2005, and I'm happy for Brad Underwood. A heck of a coaching job. Jeffrey, you have anything you'd like to add on this game?
Not really. I mean, it was another really, really, really good performance. I mean, Brad Underwood. I mean, I would argue like him and again, really Tommy Lloyd. Like they're having the tournaments they really needed to have. So it's like it's been huge for them. I think I think it's been massive. But like now if you're going to the Michigan region, I feel like the Howard game. I mean, they didn't win by as much as I thought they would. Honestly, I mean this was kind of a little bit of a slugfest for Michigan defensively, giving up 80 points to Howard. I mean, it was kind of like the Duke Siena, but not as bad. I felt like Michigan a little kind of underwhelmed this game, but they have since turned it on, so it definitely wasn't a big deal.
Yes, we're now in the Midwest region, the final region. We're going to try to get through this, and then we'll give you our final four picks, which you're all here for, and then we'll talk about the coaching carousel because we got Will Wade, we've got Randy Bennett, we got a couple things to cover. But this is one of them regions, Jeffrey. This ought to be pretty quick because this was a very dominant region. Like out of all the regions I thought that would be dominated, I didn't expect this one, to be honest with you. I didn't think the East would be that dominant. I thought maybe the West. I was like, okay, the West is going to have a lot of blowouts. It's going to be ugly. No, it was the Midwest this time. There's always that one region. But like you said, Michigan got it done. St. Louis, poor Georgia. And I picked Georgia,
probably the Georgia performance was, along with maybe St. Mary's, was probably like the most pathetic performance of March Madness. I mean, they sucked. I mean, this was like a 50-50 toss-up game. Spread was pretty even. And, I mean, St. Louis manhandled them. So,
yes. They look like the more complete team. Texas Tech, dominant. Anything like that, Jeffrey?
Not much. Akron was a trendy pick, but I guess the MAC wasn't as good as we thought.
Alabama. The demise of Alabama was greatly exaggerated, at least for round one. Dominant. Aiden Holloway not being there, not a problem. Bama took care of business, got it done. As Jackson likes to say, got the belt out, spanked them. There it goes. Put the child to bed.
Yeah, Alabama was good, but they weren't as good as they were in that next game.
Tennessee flexed their muscles. I mean, great season for Miami, Ohio. Don't get me wrong. But Tennessee, being from the SEC, showed Miami, Ohio, there's levels to this. There's levels to this. Like,
I mean, they ended up losing to a team that made the Elite Eight, so it wasn't all that bad. Yes. It's just they didn't compete.
There's levels to it.
So,
yeah. Jeffrey, it's like the old saying goes. There's levels to this. Like Tennessee's on another level, so to speak. Virginia, they took care of business. Never was really in doubt. I mean, Wright State kind of made it competitive, but Virginia, too much defense at the end. They had a couple, they forced a couple turnovers that led to breakaway dunks that kind of iced the game. I didn't see much of this, but I went back and watched the highlights, and I was like, okay, vintage Virginia.
Absolutely. Good performance overall.
Now,
this game right here, Kentucky, Santa Clara. I picked Kentucky.
Kentucky got so lucky.
Santa Clara was the trendy pick, but I picked Kentucky because I didn't think WCC was that strong. But Santa Clara should have won because at the end of that game, Herb Sendek for Santa Clara, he called just as much of a timeout as Kirby Smart did in that football game, even though Kirby Smart said he didn't call a timeout, but he did. Herb Sandek called timeout. They didn't even blow it dead. And then there was a bunch of Kentucky fans. Sorry, Darrell, because I know you're in chat, and I understand Kentucky was a better team. But we know they were the better team. They had a $22 million roster, and Santa Clara had a bunch of mid-major dudes. We know that. But Kentucky still should have lost. And it's ridiculous that they didn't grant him the timeout. Kentucky fans on Twitter were saying, oh, well, they can't give him the timeout because it wasn't a dead ball. It was a dead ball. Santa Clara scored. So it's like, are you kidding me right now? That literally was a timeout. He called timeout. They didn't give him the timeout. And then Oweh, credit to Oweh, knocks down the three.
Listen.
Wins the game in overtime ultimately. But the thing is say what you want about that game, but Kentucky got destroyed in the second round against Iowa State, who ultimately got destroyed by Tennessee. So it still was not a really good outcome for Kentucky. Mark Pope better be darn lucky that Kentucky won that game, because if they did not, he might have been fired. So I understand L take the real, but you know good and well, I know you know that I'm right, that Kentucky should not have won that game, and that Sandek did call the timeout. That's fine. They didn't give him the timeout. Oweh hit the three. Congratulations to the Kentucky Wildcats for winning the game. But your team still actually sucked, and your team had a $22 million roster that sucked. You did not deserve that win. You know this, the real. I know you got the blinders on, but I would defend your team if they were good. They were not good. They should have lost. That was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Listen.
I mean, hey, I wish Kentucky was good for you, but they're not right now. And Pope has a lot of work to do, or he will be fired next year.
Listen.
We were good. He's just kidding at this point. He's kidding. I know. He's kidding.
Listen, Darrell. Listen. Me and you both know. Darrell, me and you both know this was highway robbery right here. This was a fox in a hen house highway robbery.
It was horrible.
Like, here's the thing. Santa Clara was the better team. They should have won this
They were the
game.
better team in that game. Kentucky was the better team because they had better talent, but they didn't play like it. That's the thing. I agree that Kentucky was the better team, but Santa Clara played better in the game.
Okay, Darrell. Listen here, Darrell. We respect your opinion, but there is no world where you think Kentucky should have won that game in regulation.
Nobody thinks that. Kentucky fans didn't think that. Nobody thought that.
See, at this point, I think Darrell has had one too many tonight. I think he's drinking too much of the Kentucky Gatorade, because there is no way he can look at this game without his blue blinders on and say, oh, we were the better team, both on the court and with the roster, and we should have won in regulation. There's no way you can look at that.
I agree that Oweh's the best player on the court. See, this is the thing. I agree with the real that Kentucky is the better team, and Oweh is the best player.
I'm not disagreeing.
But Kentucky should have lost. That's still true. Guess what? Oh, yeah, you were not worried when it was 2 seconds left and you're okay, whatever. So the thing is, Florida, Iowa's the better team. Iowa's the better team. Iowa's the better team. Are you kidding me right now? Iowa's not the better team. Florida was the better team. But you know who won? Iowa. Now, again, Kentucky is the better team, but they were not the better team. Oh, yeah, they got lucky hitting a wide open three with 2 seconds left, but Kentucky was not lucky for hitting a half-court shot. I mean, okay.
You know what, Jeffrey? Here's the thing.
It's so funny how Darrell's making this seem legit, but I know he knows Kentucky shouldn't have won, man. He just shouldn't have won.
See, here's the thing, Jeffrey. If we're going to go by Darrell's logic in that case Indiana's better than Purdue.
Shot was less lucky than Santa Clara shot. Okay, I'm done. It's over. It's over. It's done.
Listen, you know what? We ain't got time for this nonsense, Darrell. Leave it
it's
to
over.
Kentucky fans.
Kentucky basketball sucked compared to what they should have been with that roster. And if Pope don't get his act together, he'll be fired, and he'll have to get a new job.
Darrell.
Because he was not impressive this year. $22 million roster, the most expensive roster in college basketball, and that's all they could do was barely beat a mid-major. barely beat a mid-major from the WCC, and then get blown off the court by a team that ended up getting blown off the court in the Sweet 16. So it's not an impressive year for Pope. We'll see what he can do next year.
Do you see this man's delusion? This is why I have problems with
I love Darrell. Darrell is great. Darrell has great takes, but right now, I don't know. The Kentucky Blinders, man, they're too strong right now.
Jeffrey, like, people think we're crazy, right? When people say, like, when we talk about our rivals, we think, oh, you all are just, it's because you're rivals. Do you all, like, I wish these people were here right now. Look at our president Kentucky person. 40-0, Darrell? 40-0. And you're going to win it all? What are you going to win? The NIT? Like, listen, Jeffrey's got a better shot of going on a date with Taylor Swift than Kentucky has winning the national championship.
Kentucky has no rivals. Okay, Darrell. Okay.
We're done with this.
Yeah. Louisville, Indiana ain't rivals.
North Carolina.
Tennessee ain't a rival. All right. Okay.
You know what, Jeffrey? We're done. We'll be here all night, and we won't get to our last topic. And I'm like, we're already pushing it. Good job, Kentucky. You won. Good for you. Like, anywho.
It would have been better if they had lost, because of the fact that since they won, it made it worse. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Kentucky owns Louisville, Indiana, Tennessee. I have a question, Darrell. Last time Kentucky, Indiana played, who won?
Well, Kentucky won this year because Indiana sucks in basketball, but
that's right.
Kentucky does have a losing record versus Indiana in football.
Ooh, okay.
So, all right. Anybody that's got a losing record to Indiana in football is not good. So, I mean, I'm just saying, man.
Yeah, Darrell. Darrell, go sit in the corner now.
Look at Darrell saying we would have beaten Iowa State if Lowe was playing. He only averaged 10 points a game. You lost by 19.
Okay, Darrell.
And by the way, Iowa State didn't have Joshua Jefferson. So if they had Joshua Jefferson, you might have lost by 30. So, I mean, I'm just saying, we can go both ways with this thing.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to leave it at this. Darrell, you want to talk about me sticking up for the ACC, right, and how delusional I am in football. Do you not hear yourself right now?
Kentucky is like the basketball school up there with like Duke and Canada. I mean, I don't know Carolina too. They're all the basketball. I don't know. They're great. They're amazing. But right now, Pope is struggling a little bit. So,
okay, but we're moving on though. Iowa State beat Tennessee State. Good for them. Great.
Blowout.
Wonderful. Yes. And then let's move up here to the other side of the bracket. Michigan took care of business, dominated. Any thoughts, Jeffrey? Stop me if you have any thoughts. I'll let you take this one. Go for it, since this is your team.
Glorious. This game was a glorious display of Alabama at their best. Now, we know it ain't always the case. We know that Nate Oates does not always have Alabama playing this way, and it's impossible. There's no way a team can hit this many threes game in and game out. But for one game, it was fun. It was even better because of the fact that I was streaming the game. It was great. I mean, literally, Alabama couldn't miss, man. I know they missed like 23 threes, but they made 19 of them, and it was just beautiful. Like, every player was hitting on all cylinders. Texas Tech had no shot. I mean, even if they had top, and it didn't matter. Alabama that night one of the best teams in college basketball. Sadly, they couldn't do it in the next game, but it was incredible.
See, that's the thing too, real fast. Alabama was just hitting their threes and playing better. And I know we can use the excuse, if Toppin was there, this would have been closer. Not when you're hitting threes like at the rate Bama was. I don't think it would have mattered if Toppin was there or not. Like, Alabama was hitting everything that walked in front of them. They were just shooting the ball better. And when it's your night, it's your night. It's one of those. Great win for Bama. Great win. Tennessee, Virginia was this was actually a really good game. Very physical. But Tennessee, Chaz Lanier. Who was the point guard for Tennessee, Jeffrey? Help me out here.
Gillespie.
Yes, Gillespie. Thank you, Jacoby Gillespie. Okay.
Yeah, it
Lose my
threw me
mind.
off because they're. And I think of Gillespie. I think Villanova, right? You know, it's like Villanova had the Gillespie, but it's like Tennessee had their own this year, and he was
But
very good. But yeah, Lanier and Connect, like those are the guys I think of with Tennessee. They were really good.
yes, and Gillespie had a really good game.
Nate
Tennessee,
Ament was
Jeffrey.
very good too.
Yes. Here's the thing, though, Jeffrey. The one thing I will comment on is Virginia had two wide open looks at threes and missed them both at the end. And I'm like, that's just Virginia basketball. When they need offense, they can't find it. They could have won this game, but they missed the
Yeah,
two open
absolutely.
threes,
And
and then
I picked
Tennessee.
Virginia to win too. I thought Virginia would beat Tennessee. But like you said, they just couldn't make shots when they really needed to. And they had some good looks. I mean, it is what it is for them, but it was a pretty good game, like you said.
Now, on to this one. Iowa State manhandled Kentucky. And I know DeRio's going to say it's a fluke. It wouldn't have happened twice. I don't think Kentucky could have put the Washington Generals out there, and I don't think the score is going to change. Iowa State was just another level, another team better. Even without Joshua Jefferson, they were just a better team than Kentucky, and
Yeah,
it shows.
Kentucky did not play good in this game at all. Pretty bad.
But good win for Iowa State. Michigan handled Bama.
Yeah. I mean, I had a feeling they would win. I mean, Alabama tried. It was great that they were up at half, but they ran out of gas. Michigan's size, Bama couldn't rebound in the second half. They got tired, and they just couldn't hit the 19 threes they hit in the first game. They hit like 10 or 11. It just wasn't enough. They would have needed about 15 to 19 threes to win.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, kudos to, Alabama without Holloway and then the whole Bediako thing, still having a good year, still made the Sweet 16. Not a failure at all for Nate Oates, so still a good year.
Yeah, and like it's one of them too. Like Michigan being the bigger team really, really worked in their advantage. Where Bama was the smaller and tried to run. Tennessee, I mean, give them credit. They played better than Iowa State, but the injury bug really, really I know DeReal is in the comments parading around with the whole Kentucky was injured. I legitimately think, and I'm not just saying this because Iowa State was a Final Four pick for me. I think if they had been healthy, they win this game. I really do. Like Joshua Jefferson made that much more of a difference. I mean, give credit to Rick Barnes of Tennessee. They won with the guys out there, but you want to talk about an injury affecting teams. Iowa State, Jeffrey, it always seems like when they're poised to make a deep run and make the march, quote unquote, no pun intended, or maybe pun intended, to the Final Four, they just get hit with the injury bug. And it does not stop. And it's just like, I just feel so bad for TJ Osselberg because he puts these great teams together and he just can't get over the injury bug because they could have easily won this game if they had been healthy.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, Tennessee played good. Tennessee was definitely firing on all cylinders in this game. But yeah, Iowa State, unlike the Iowa State game where Kentucky just, I understand they're healthy, but they didn't look good. Iowa State was still in the game. They were still in the game, hanging around for a while. You're just waiting for anybody to do anything. And it never came. I streamed this game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even 9 to go, they were down 10, 9 or 10. They were still in the game, but they just could not make shots. They couldn't get to the line. They couldn't do anything. And yeah, I mean, Iowa State, Otzelberger's done an incredible job there. But yeah, that's a tough way to go out because definitely I felt like Iowa State could have made the Elite Eight. That's where I had them going.
Mm-hmm. And then Michigan, Tennessee, just domination.
I had Iowa State losing to Michigan in the Elite Eight, just for reference. I thought they would.
I had Iowa State beat Michigan.
Yeah.
But Michigan just looked like the more complete team. A lot of people were I saw some people say Tennessee could hang around because of their physicality. And I don't disagree with that, but Michigan was just too tall. Tennessee couldn't do nothing with it, in which we're getting ready to pick our Final Four games here. And we'll see what we think about the Arizona here in a minute. But Tennessee just too small and not enough length. And Michigan just took advantage.
I mean, Michigan and Arizona and Illinois, the length is incredible. it's wild how for a while basketball was trending in a non-length direction. It was all about like stretch forward and all this, and now it's back to length. It's about bigs again. It's weird. Basketball is weird. It just makes no sense. These teams are just complete though. They've got size, they've got shooters, they've got everything.
And here's the thing too, real fast. It's like Rick Barnes, back-to-back Elite Eight appearances. I think Rick Barnes, it's safe to say, we could take the tag off him. He's finally putting it together. I hope he gets there one day. I like Rick Barnes. I don't got nothing against him. I know Jackson, if he's still here, I know he doesn't want to see Rick Barnes win because he's wearing the Tennessee orange. But
you don't like him better if he's at Texas still, which is fair.
But Jeffrey, I'm sure if Rick Barnes wins it, I'm sure the part of your Bama side will be upset, but I'm sure the other part of you will be like, good for Rick Barnes. Good for him. Good for Texas.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a good coach. He's just never had a ton of like March success, but lately he's been doing better. And I think most people will be happy to see him if he does do it, but we'll see.
But now let's pick our Final Four games. And these deserve their own spotlight. So which one do you want to go with first, Jeffrey? You want to go with the big one, the real?
I'd rather go with the big game first because I already got my pick. Like you already know it too because I picked it in my bracket. But if you don't mind, then do the other game.
Okay, put it up on the board, Jeffrey. We're gonna put these on spotlight because they deserve their own spotlight. These four teams did it their way. Michigan, Arizona, the real championship game, as the title says. And the reason why we put that out there, I think it's safe to say these might be the two best teams. I know UConn and I know people may say, UConn might have a stake in this, right? People may say, well, here's the thing. For me, here we go. Hold on, Jeffrey. I'll pull it up. Hold on. Oops. Here we go. Hold on. I didn't got to pull it up. I forgot to share screen. It's okay. Here we go.
Oh, you're good.
Here we go. Okay, I got it. And DeReal says Arizona versus UConn. Arizona wins it all. Okay. I've seen a couple people. Here we go. Zoom in. Give them their own spotlight. Say Jeffrey. So here's the thing with this. Jeffrey's already got his pick. Me, on the other hand, I didn't pick either one of these teams, and it's my own fault. Here's the thing with this game. They're both tall teams. But the problem is with Michigan is, they say size doesn't always matter, right? Mm-hmm. I think in this game, I've been thinking about this all day since I kind of been flipping a coin because I think there's a couple different ways this could go. But since Jeffrey done made his pick, and if you all have been watching his recent ones, you all should know his pick, and I should as well. So if Jeffrey doesn't mind, I want to make my pick first. I'm going to go Arizona, Jeffrey. I'm going to pick the Wildcats, and here's why. I think Jaden Bradley is the difference maker. I think he's due for a really big game. You remember that clutch shot he hit against Iowa State in the Big 12 tournament? You remember that, right? Mm-hmm. He's the X factor to me. I feel like Michigan, even though they're bigger and probably taller and more lengthier, I feel like Jaden Bradley being able to create his own shot. I feel like he's going to give Michigan trouble, and I feel like Michigan has not played anybody like that yet. And I feel like if you got a guard who can score and can draw the defenders out, because Michigan likes to pack the paint. Like, that's their patent. Let's pack the paint. Well, with Arizona, you can't do that because they can beat you both ways. Yeah, they like to go inside, but Jaden Bradley can take you off the dribble. Barrios can take you off the dribble. Both teams are really good, but I'm going to go Arizona. I think their guard play is going to be better. I don't think Cadeau, I know former North Carolina guy, I just don't think Cadeau's got it. I think Michigan, this is where it ends for them. I think this is Arizona's year. I'm going to go 92-89 Arizona.
That's fair. I mean, like I said, I've gone with my bracket picks every single time, as long as the team has kept winning, because I don't want to go against it. I didn't make multiple brackets. I just did one. And in that bracket, I had Michigan beating Arizona in the Final Four. So, I mean, even though I've been told by a lot of people that they're going Arizona, even though Michigan's favored by like one, it's basically 50-50. A lot of people are picking Arizona. I wouldn't be surprised to see that spread flip to Arizona. A lot of people are going Arizona. I know Will's going Arizona. You're going Arizona. And if I didn't pick Michigan, I actually would have gone with Arizona. If I didn't have a pre-designated pick in this game, if I didn't have Michigan, Arizona here, and I had to pick two other teams, I actually would have picked Arizona, because they do look really good. But so does Michigan, though. It's not like Michigan hasn't looked good. They both have been incredible. Michigan just blew Tennessee off the court. Arizona's been blowing people off the court. They're both really good. I don't know how the refs are going to be, though. I mean, I hate to bring them up, but I don't know. I mean, Arizona's been going to the line a lot. I think they have the biggest free throw differential in the tournament. I think they've shot 60 more free throws than their opponents in March Madness. Michigan's difference isn't as strong. So, I mean, if the free throws have anything to say, Arizona would have a really good shot. I don't know. Like I said, I think Arizona definitely can win. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they won. But since I picked Michigan in my bracket, I'm going with the Michigan Wolverines. I'll go 89-86 Michigan.
Okay. So that was our picks for that. So Jeffrey's got Michigan. I've got Arizona. Now, pull up this game. This is kind of the interesting game.
Yes.
UConn, Illinois.
And I had neither, because I had Duke Houston in the Final Four. So I got fair game. I could pick whatever I want. So this one's fun. This is the fun one.
Yes. So Jeffrey's got a free roam on this one. Jeffrey could go either way. So Jeffrey, I'll let you start on this one, since I want to hear your thinking, because this is another coin flip for me.
Yeah, I mean, both these games should be incredible. I'm expecting both games to be very close. I'd be shocked if either one's a blowout. But Illinois has been playing great ball, and they got great size like Michigan and Arizona. They can hit a lot of threes, very physical. But, I mean, on that other side, you've got Dan Hurley and you've got UConn. And they're one of those teams that you just feel like they keep finding ways to win. Like you look back at some of these other UConn teams and that even the ones that have won it all with Dan, it's like, did it really feel like they had the best team? I mean, maybe not. I don't think their team, like it almost feels like Michigan and Arizona are the two best teams. And then like Illinois is just playing very good. It almost in a weird way. I'm not saying they're the worst team of the four here. I'm not. But it almost does. You know what I'm saying? It almost feels like you look at UConn's team and you got Caravan, you got Reed, you got Solo Ball, you got Mullins. Like they got good players, but it just, I mean, like you think about some of these other teams, like Illinois's got Wagler, who's like a top 10 pick, and then like Michigan's got all their studs, and then you've got Arizona. Like it just feels like UConn. Like I don't know, it just feels like they're the worst team of the four, but I can't feel that. It's Dan Hurley, I mean, they shouldn't have won against Duke. It should have been Duke. I mean, like everyone on the planet knows Duke should have won that game, but they didn't win. Absolutely choked, and it's Dan Hurley. And that we pick a lot of the times we go with the experienced coach. We go with the coach who's been here before, and I mean it's Dan Hurley. You know what I mean? It's like I just it keeps going back to Dan friggin' Hurley. Whether he's headbutting refs, whether he's losing his mind, whatever he's gonna do, I don't know, man. I'll pick first since you picked first in the other one, but I've got Dan Hurley winning. I've got UConn going to the national championship game, beating Illinois. I'll go 79-78.
See, listen to all your reasonings. They're great reasonings. But sometimes you can feel when a team is like a team of destiny. And I know some people don't like the word destiny because it makes it feel like you didn't earn it, they didn't earn it, or they got lucky to be here. But something about this Illinois team, it's just different. Like in years past, where everyone thought, oh, they were a 1 seed, this is their year. It wasn't. They got outplayed and everything. The year nobody picks them, the year nobody thinks anything of them, they make the Final Four. Here they come again. And it just feels like UConn has been flirting with disaster a couple different times. The Duke game, the Furman game, the UCLA game, they kind of flirted with it. The Michigan State game, they've kind of flirted with it a couple different times. And eventually, you know what they say, Jeffrey, everyone's luck runs out eventually. And Illinois has played some of the best basketball.
You going Illinois. I don't blame you.
Here's the thing. Like you said, the experience, he's won 2 titles.
It's just hard to bet against that, man. It's like I picked Duke and then freaking Mullins and UConn. It's like, I mean, it should have been Duke, Illinois. Which if it was Duke, Illinois, I'd have picked Duke because I picked Duke to beat Houston. It's like, it should have been Duke. They shouldn't even be here. But that team of destiny thing, it's like UConn, man. They won 2 titles. Is he really going to try to find a way to do it again, even though he shouldn't? Because you've got Michigan, Arizona, and you've even got Illinois. It's just like, I don't know, man. I just,
like, that's the thing. Like, I've heard everything you said. I've heard everything. And, like, the team of destiny. Jeffrey, you know what? Give me Illinois.
All right.
I believe in this team. I'll take Illinois. 68-65. Give me Illinois. And in my national title game, it's going to be Illinois, Arizona. For you, it's Michigan, UConn. So for our championship game, Jeffrey, we can go on and put that out there like we did before. Do you want to pick yours first, or do you want me to pick first?
I'll have you go first because, again, in my bracket, I kind of have my hands tied based off my bracket. So I'll let you go first.
Okay. I think this is the year of the Cats, Jeffrey. It's Arizona's time. Give me Arizona, 94-78. I think they win in dominant fashion over Illinois. I think this is their year. Tommy Lloyd brings the title back to Tucson. I'm going Arizona for the championship.
For me, because my bracket pick was for Michigan to win it all, I'm going to go with Michigan. Even though, you know, as an Indiana fan, it hurts because Dusty May, you know, the one that got away because of Mike Woodson getting another year. You know, it's just that blows. But it is what it is. You know, Indiana's got to live with letting Dusty go to Michigan. And, I mean, Dusty's done a great job there. You know, I could see any of these teams winning. I could see Illinois. I could see Arizona. I could see UConn. You could talk me into all 4 of them. But I picked Michigan in my one and only bracket to win it all. And since they're still alive, I'm going to pick Michigan to win it all. I'll go with the Wolverines to win 82-76 over UConn.
So real fast, while I pull this coaching search up, we'll go through that real fast. Out of the 4 teams, Jeffrey, like we did last year, I'll let you go first. Out of the 4 in order, who would you like to win and who would you least like to win? And you can be honest.
I mean, I really don't want any of them to win. I'm just being honest. I don't really want any of them to win. But I mean, if I had to be honest, I mean, probably the one that I would want to win the most, I guess Arizona. I mean, just because they haven't won it in a long time, that they don't have anything. They're not in competition with Alabama, Indiana, or North Carolina. They're in the Big 12. You know, I don't. They're not. You know, like they're not a rival to any team that I really like. You know, they're all the way over there. You know, West Coast teams don't win it that much. You know, I guess Arizona would be the most. I mean, you could argue for Illinois, but Illinois has been beating up on Indiana. They're kind of like, Illinois would probably be the second favorite. It's almost a tie for the other two for the worst. I don't want Dan Hurley to win another one because it'll be annoying, but it'd be tough to see Dusty win. It's not like I got anything against Michigan winning it. It's just Dusty May. Like if it just could have been anybody but Dusty May. You know what I mean? If it could have just been anybody else, like it could have been Juwan Howard. It could have been Beeline. It could have been any of them. It'd be better, but. I mean, I guess just for the sake of out of all of them here, the only one that's won it before is Dan Hurley. I guess I'd have UConn being the least likely. They're the least, I guess.
Okay.
But right behind's Dusty because it's more of Dusty than Michigan, and then Illinois, and then Arizona. I guess would be the one that I want the most. I guess, even though I really don't care.
So to be honest with you, Jeffrey, if I was to rank them in order. For me, I want to see Illinois win the most. I want to see them Illinois, Arizona, UConn, and then Michigan.
Michigan's last. All right. Well, I mean, to me, Dan Hurley and then Dusty May, it's both at the bottom for me. They're way lower than the other two, but Dan Hurley's just ugh.
And here's the thing. I don't got nothing against Michigan, and I know Michigan fans are going to get mad at me. The reason why it's that they're kicking me off. It's just like, really? Like you took the Florida approach. I get it's NIL, but I'm having a Jeffrey moment. I'm like, you didn't earn it.
Dude, they stole Elliott Cadeau, okay? They stole Elliott Cadeau.
Yeah.
And Dusty May should have been in Indiana. It's just like, dude. All right. And then Connor Stallions. All right. Connor Stallions. Okay, I'm done. Whatever. I'm done.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I don't dislike Michigan, Dusty May. I mean, they're fine, but
no problem.
Cadeau being like, it's over. It's like, bro, like really, like you really, it's over. I'm okay. All right, Cadeau, you've changed since you were at Carolina. You're not the same guy, but
here's the thing, and I will say this too. We'll get into this coaching talk here, but I do want to ask Jeffrey though. Overall, I know it's not done yet, but where would you rank this tournament? Like not all time, but within the last 5 years, more shorter timeline. Do you think this is one of the better ones out of the last 5 we've had?
I mean, I think it's middle of the road overall. I think, I wouldn't say it's the worst. I wouldn't say it's the best. The only reason I wouldn't say it's the best is because there's a lack of upsets. I mean, we had a few. Like, you had the Iowa and the Texas and High Point for brief. But, I mean, some of the greatest tournaments ever. I mean, we've had, like, Cinderella's going to Final Fours and stuff. Like, that just makes it was more chalk. I mean, we've had some great games, though. That's why it's not the worst. Like, we had Vandy, Nebraska, and we had UConn, Duke. I mean, we've got some that are going to be hung in positive. Like they're going to be remembered forever. I mean, it was it's been some really good games and some upsets. I think definitely, I would say it's middle of the pack, maybe slightly above average overall.
Okay, but let's get into this coaching talk. So up here, if Jeffrey would be so kind to be my Vanna White, pull it up. We'll save Hubert Davis and company in North Carolina for last. We'll end our show on that. But this is grading every men's college basketball head coaching hire so far. This is as of 17 hours ago. And, of course, there's Will Wade. I know Jeffrey's ready for that. And the first one up, and here's all the coaches that have been hired. The first one up, and this is a doozy, Randy Bennett to Arizona State. This, to me, caught me by surprise, Jeffrey. I was not expecting this. I was thinking, he's like Mark Few. He's a St. Mary's for life. I'm like, I was like, Arizona State? I didn't think that would be the job that would drive him away. I thought he would retire before he would leave. But, boy, am I wrong, Jeffrey. This is one of the ones I don't know if you've talked about much, but I want to hear your opinion on this because we love us some Randy Bennett around here, both of us.
Yeah, I talked about it for brief the other night, not enough, but I mean, for me, like, Gonzaga going to the away from the WCC to the Pac-12 or whatever, that kind of signaled that the WCC is kind of dead. And I feel like that really pressured Randy Bennett to make the move, which I'm still shocked over because, like you said, it just kind of felt like he was that type of guy. He was kind of like a Phil Martelli type of dude, one of those guys that just stays at his school forever. I really, he's an older guy. It ain't like he's young. He's in his 60s, I think. It's just him and Few forever in the WCC making that conference fun. It's just, I get it. WCC getting blown up with Gonzaga leaving. He's probably getting a pretty good pay raise at Arizona State. They probably promised him, like, hey, you're going to be relevant. You're going to win games. My thing is, I just don't know how successful he's going to be at Arizona State, though. Because, it's just odd to me that you got Dan Hurley over here winning natties, having all this success at UConn, and then his brother, Bobby Hurley, the guy that had the all-time assists, leader in college basketball before Braden Smith broke it. And he's sitting over here and he can barely make the tournament, and like he had Remy Martin and Lou Dort for a bit there and they were winning games, but then Remy Martin left, for Kansas, which helped Kansas win it all that year. And let's face it, Kansas without Remy Martin, you probably don't win a natty, but whatever. The thing is that, like, just to me, like Bobby Hurley, I don't know, like, is he that inferior to his brother? Can he just not coach? To me, that makes it seem like Arizona State's a hard job. And plus, you've got Arizona State in a conference with all these teams at the top of the Big 12, like Houston and Kansas and Baylor most years, not this year, but most years. Texas Tech's really good right now. It's freaking Arizona. It's a deep, deep league. This isn't a bad hire. You can't say it's a bad hire. I just don't know how successful Randy Bennett is going to be after being in a league for his whole career where he was basically the second best team in it. And now he's not. He's like the eighth or ninth best team out of 16 or however many. It's a big step up. And I don't know if his style of play is going to work, but we'll see.
See, Jeffrey, Sports Illustrated gave it an A. Would you give this an A? And,
I would give it a B.
A B? I was thinking B+. I'm like, Randy Bennett's a proven winner. He's going to get you to the tournament, and he wins a first-round game most of the time. But like you said, though, Arizona State most years is probably, the 6th, 7th best team in the Big 12, maybe? Is that fair to say? 8th, somewhere in that range?
I would say
they're not terrible.
Because, you've got, like, in the Pac-12 they were around 5th or 6th, but now that they're in the Big 12, you think about the teams at the top. You've got Texas Tech, you've got Kansas, you've got Baylor most years, you've got Arizona, you've got Houston. BYU now is a problem with their NIL money and stuff. That's already 6. TCU's some years is really Iowa State. Yeah, Arizona State's about 8 or 9. They're not up there. They're not toward the top. And they're competing with Cincinnati. They're competing with Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. Not Oklahoma, they're in the SEC, but Oklahoma State and Kansas State if they get better. It's just, to me, it's just, again, it could work. Does this raise the floor, I guess, for Arizona State? Probably, but it depends on how much support he gets. It depends on how much NIL support he gets and whether his style of play, whether he can get the players necessary to be able to compete. Because we just saw St. Mary's get blitzed by Texas A&M.
Yes.
And if those type of results are indicative of what you're going to see at Arizona State, it's not going to be good. That's why I can't say it's an A. I can't. It's a B. Because for one, he's older. He doesn't have a lot of years left. It's a surprising move. Is he even going to be ready for this type of move? There's a lot, again, and also Arizona State. Like, we know, like, Dillingham right now, maybe is regretting staying at Arizona State because of the fact he turned down Michigan, presumably, even though they got Whittingham. I don't know how serious he actually was to that job. But, like, Arizona State football is losing everybody. They lost a lot of key players to the portal. Yeah, into the draft. Like, they weren't able to keep Levitt. They weren't able to keep some players. I don't know if the NIL situation in Tempe's that good. There's a lot of factors here. We'll see.
here's the thing, because there's a long list here. I'll say this for what Randy Bennett's worth. He's consistent. He wins 20, 25 games every year. And that's on his track record. But once again, it's a weaker conference. But like you said, if he gets support and gets the help he needs, it could be an A+ hire. But I think right now I stand at a B+. Like Bobby Hurley, don't get me wrong, was a great head coach. Arizona State had some really good years and some really good players, but there was a ceiling to him, and a lot of people seen that in Tempe. And like when they beat Kansas, Jeffrey, a lot of people thought that might have saved his job. And it just seemed like a lot of people said, oh, now they beat Kansas, they might keep him one more year. And then multiple reports came out and said he was going to, regardless if he beat Kansas or not, they were probably going to move on anyway. So, which that's the harsh part, Jeffrey, is no matter if you win or lose a big game, they're already moving on from you.
Yeah.
But overall, it's a good Randy Bennett, wishing luck. Boston College Luke Murray, who's currently on the UConn staff. Here's the thing. Luke Murray, who's Bill Murray's son, which is kind of cool. He's been an assistant coach around the leagues. This is a good hire, I think, for Boston College, just for the fact that he's been around guys like Chris Mack, of course, a champion like Dan Hurley, and he's got this championship knowledge, and has been a part of teams that know how to win. I think for me, before even seeing the grade, I give this a B. I think this is a good hire for Boston College because they can get some good players. We've seen them do it in the past. Like, Jeffrey, you remember those years Boston College was good and made the tournament? Like, in our lifetime. I'll give this a B. I like it. What do you think, Jeffrey?
Well, before I see the grade, I mean, my thoughts here is that it's cool that he's Bill Murray's son, and it's great that he has, a lot of time being around Dan Hurley and other successful coaches. So, I mean, with all that being said, that's positive. That's a lot of positives. But then you've got Will and D's comment, they better give him money. Now, I mean, maybe Bill Murray can help a little bit in that department, but I mean, maybe the notoriety of that will help. But the problem is that Boston College in the NIL department is horrible. I mean, they got Bill O'Brien. Yeah. They couldn't keep Castellanos. They couldn't keep Turbo Richard, their starting running back. He transferred to Indiana this offseason. Like, they can't keep any of their good players. That the only player they had was Zay Flowers, who everyone wanted, and he stayed at BC to do nothing. I mean, it's just Boston College is just kind of a dead program because their NIL is horrible. And I don't think Luke Murray has a shot in the dark of winning anything successful or significant if they don't give him NIL support. So I'll give the hire a B like you, just because I don't think you could do worse. I mean, it's probably about the best they could actually do. But I mean, I think Luke Murray probably been in better shape to actually not take this job and wait for another job. I think if Boston College is going to actually give him support, then he has a chance. But if not, then he's not going to win because, I mean, people were pretty high on Earl Grant. They thought Earl Grant would do pretty good, but they don't have any support. They don't get any players. I mean, it's like you can't win if you don't have money anymore. That's kind of the name of the game. So I just,
And they gave it an A, Jeffrey. So maybe they're very high on Luke Murray. I mean, I hope he does good. For his sake, I do. I like Luke Murray. I think he's a good coach. Like, he was the interim coach for Louisville for a couple of weeks when Matt got suspended, and we won. I think we went 4-2 with him. And the players liked him, so I hope he does well. Butler Ronald, I don't know how you pronounce that last name. Jeffrey, if you can help me out, that would be great. How you say that last name? I want to make sure I pronounce this right.
Ronald Moorhead, something like that. I mean, yeah, Butler's not good either. And again, this kind of comes down to NIL support. I mean, Thad Matta, I understand he was older and he was sick and stuff, but I mean, he didn't win. So, I mean, what makes you believe this guy's going to win if they don't up the NIL support? I mean, that's the problem.
And
I was gonna say a C.
Oh,
I was gonna say a C.
A B-. like Jeffrey, as we go down here, going through this, they seem pretty generous. Like they're not like I don't think we're going to give anybody an F, but a B minus. That's awful high for a program that hasn't done much winning lately. But interesting. Charleston, John Gross.
I'll give this one an A. This is a good
Yes,
hire. I mean,
I'm
you think
surprised
about it,
they
they
got
just got a
him.
guy from Akron that went to the tournament. I mean,
Yes.
like Will said, Luke Murray could have gone here. Charleston's been a pipeline like Pat Kelsey. I mean, I definitely think Luke Murray
Mhm.
had other options. I just don't think taking the BC job was that smart unless they're actually going to support him. I would give this one an A. This is a good hire.
I would too. I give this one an A plus. I like this. I
Yeah,
think
A
this
plus,
is a good
A, either
hire.
or. Yeah.
But does Sports Illustrated agree with us? They give it an A minus. Okay, which the minus, I guess, if you want to nitpick, I guess, but an A minus is still really good. Cincinnati, Jared Calhoun, the
I
former
give it an
Utah
A.
State head coach. I give it an A as well. I think coming off a Mountain West victory, he's going to bring his style of offense.
Utah State
to
coaches have been winning a lot, so I mean, I'm
Yes.
not gonna say
You
that it's
can't go
gonna
wrong with this. They gave it an A minus. Creighton, Al Huss, replacing McDermott, who retired, which he's taken over a really good situation. And McDermott got to pick his replacement, which is good. I'm glad that he did. He deserved that much at least. Wish him all the best in retirement. One of the best coaches in Creighton history, top 100 all time in college basketball. I'll give it a B plus. I think for the situation Creighton's in and being around McDermott, I think it's a B plus. They gave it a B plus too, so we're thinking the same. Here we go. See, Jeffrey, me and Sports Illustrated, we think the same. No. Scott Cross to Georgia Tech, the former Troy head coach. They gave this a B minus. What do you think, Jeffrey?
I was gonna
How do
say
you feel about this?
or a B.
B minus. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's terrible. I just think Georgia Tech's kind of like Boston College, and their NIL support kind of sucks. Because I mean, like Pastner was there, and he had Alvarado, and they had some success, but it's just like it wasn't sustainable because of the fact that they can't.
They one hit
players.
wonders.
They get players, they can't keep players. They're a bottom dweller program. That's the issue with the ACC. The ACC at the bottom in both basketball and football is kind of bad. It is really, really bad. The support's terrible.
Yes.
The NIL is terrible. It really drags the league down. These programs need to get better.
It's bad.
Big Tens and the SECs are getting better. Look at basketball. The SEC's doldrums have gotten better. Alabama used to suck. Auburn used to suck. They're going to Elite Eights and Final Fours, and the ACC's bottom dollar. Georgia Tech's still talking about Kenny Anderson in the 90s. They ain't done anything. They're horrible. They're a abysmal garbage program that shouldn't be. Georgia Tech's had success before, so.
Casey Alexander to Kansas State. Now, Jeffrey, before we give it a grade, can I go on a little rant? I know it's late and we're all tired, but can I go on a little rant here? Do you mind?
Go ahead.
So, okay. So, Jerome Tang gets fired, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like the way that they did this. All because he looked at all the way because he decided to tell his players this is pathetic and you're not going to be a part of my program if you're not going to show me some heart. And that is why you fired him? Really?
Yeah.
That's why you fired one of your best coaches you've had in a long time? Really? Really? And Tom Izzo said this to a T. We've gone soft. We've gone soft. Look at Dan Hurley and Tom Izzo. They love their guys, right? They love them to death because they're family. But they coach them hard. And what do the players always say? We came here because we want to be coached hard. We want them we want to be coached. We want to know. We don't want to be told, oh, you're great. We want to be told, hey, that sucked. You need to fix that. And this ticks me off, Jeffrey, that is the world we live in. Jerome Tang, in my opinion, was a very good head coach. He's a top 25 head coach, but all because he told his team, you're playing pee poor, and you're not going to be on my team next year because I'm getting sick and tired of your way. Oh, we got to fire you now because it's bad for the moral. It ticks me off. Like, that's the thing that bothers me. How can a coach in this day and age if you will not let him coach? Like, not every coach is that, like that. Like, that's the problem. Back in the day, Jeffrey, that was normal. Like, that's how Coach K, Roy Williams, Rick Pitino, that's how they coach. They coach you hard, but they love you even harder. That, so to speak. If that sounded wrong, pause, but I think you get the point I'm getting at here. That to me just irritates me. But as for Casey Alexander, I don't know much about him, but I would give this a B plus because Kansas State's still a very viable program. They could get the NIL. Kansas State Twitter disagrees with you, Austin LL. Well,
I'm somewhere in the middle. I mean, for me, it's like I agree with your point that it did feel that the way they fired him and how they fired him and when they fired him and the way they went about firing him was not good. It was horrible. It could have been done a whole lot better. Even if they had waited till the end of the season, it's just like, oh, they just axed him like during the season right after he said something. It makes you feel for him. I mean, because like you said, other coaches like Izzo and Dan Hurley who have the success and even Saban used to do it, the reputation, the success. It's like, okay, well, this even Cignetti. Oh yeah, Nick Marsh. I don't like the fact Nick Marsh is wearing gold shoes. I think that's trash. I don't like it. This is unacceptable. But you know what? He just won a natty, so nobody's saying anything. That's the thing. But it's like Tang's like, and I understand Will's point that he recruited those players. I get that. I also agree with that. But at the same time, you got to realize too that a lot of these recruitments, they're not as. That's the thing here. That's why Dabo didn't like the portal. Because Dabo, it was about relationships. It was about getting to know these guys over high school recruiting for years and years. And like, hey, I think this is a good kid to bring into my program. You're recruiting these guys after like a month, a week, a couple phone calls, Zoom calls. You don't really know some of these guys when you're bringing them in. You're just seeing, okay, well, this dude puts up 12 and 8 in the ACC. He should be a good ad. You're not looking into the character much. You're not looking into the family in that much. You're not getting to know these people that much. You know what I'm saying? It's like I feel like that's making these recruitments where you actually might bring in some crummy players. And I'm not just talking about on the court. I'm talking about personally. They might be crummy. But you didn't know that because you didn't really get to know them like Dabo and the old style recruiting is where you start recruiting them as freshmen in high school and you got to know them over 4 years of recruiting visits and maybe home visits. And it's all different now. So that's where I disagree with Will. I disagree slightly with you and I disagree slightly with Will. Y'all are both correct.
That's fair.
I think that Tang, you got an argument in his favor that is mostly for me how he was fired. The way they did it was trash. It was terrible. But he's got a point that maybe he thought that these guys were going to be better and they just ended up not. And he didn't really get to know them. So that's where I can defend him. So,
and that's the thing too. Not to get too long on a tangent here, but it's one of them things. Like, I see Will's point, right? But when you recruit a player, you should be allowed to get on them, though. That's my thing. It's like a parent, like Jeffrey. Like, our parents love us to death, but if we do something wrong, are we just gonna? Like, yeah, we'll be mad at them for a day. Like, but after a while, we still love them. Like, they're our mom and dad. They're our grandparents. They're just doing it because they love us, because they know what it feels like to be in those shoes. And Tang knows what it takes. He went to the Elite Eight with Kansas State. Like, I know it was one hit wonder with Noel and that really good team he had. But still, though, he went to the Elite Eight. He knows what it takes to get to that level, even if it was just one time. But to the point of this, though, like, there's an argument for both sides. I'm not disagreeing with that. I see Will's side and I see where you're coming from. There's arguments for both sides here. But as for Mr. Alexander here, what grade would you give this, Jeffrey?
I give it a B plus. It's close to an A minus, but I give it a B plus. I think that he had a lot of success at Belmont. They choked in their tournament. They could have made March Madness this year if they didn't choke in their tournament. Belmont's been consistently solid. I give it a B plus.
And they gave it a B. And Jeffrey, here's the one that before we came on air, you were waiting to talk about. Like, more than Hubert Davis, Jeffrey and I were talking about on air. Of course, we were going to talk about Hubert Davis, but Will Wade has been the topic of the town, and Jeffrey has been waiting to talk about this. So, Jeffrey, I'll let you start this off. I'll let you have the floor, and I'll take it wherever you want to go.
All right. So, this man, and LSU already did Lane Kiffin. They already did Lane Kiffin, and that made a lot of people mad after that, and how that was handled. And that was handled horrifically with the Ole Miss and all that. This man was at LSU, and he got fired. Kind of like Kelvin Sampson at Indiana, he got fired. Now, I didn't have a 5-year ban for basketball like he did, but Will Wade got fired because of some allegations and stuff, whatever, which I guess no one's getting in trouble for anymore. But that he was kind of the last one to get in trouble for allegations. So this man goes to McNeese and wins. And then this man goes to NC State, and he says, this is the worst team I'm going to have at NC State. Implying that, yeah, okay, I'm in this for the long haul. We're only going to get better from here. And the AD's locked in. The fans are locked in. I live in this state. And NC State fans were pumped. Okay, they were like, all right, we're going to compete with Duke. We're going to compete with North Carolina. And NC State was a lot better this year. Yeah, they got destroyed by Louisville. But they did beat Carolina by 24, even though Carolina didn't have, Wilson. But it's still impressive. I mean, whatever. It was a good win, right? NC State had a good year. They had some good wins. And, yeah, like, you think, well, you know what, Will Wade, you did your little allegations and all that. Well, now you're becoming a more likable dude, kind of like Lane Kiffin was after his Tennessee and USC crap. He's a more likable dude now at Ole Miss. He's really redeemed himself. Will Wade goes back to the school that fired him, and he just completely gives NC State the cold shoulder, assumably out of the blue. Because according to the AD, he said that he had no inkling that Will Wade was going to do this at all. He did not know anything of this. He did not know that Will Wade was leaving. And he even said, like, they were prepared to give him whatever he needed, possibly give him extensions in the future, all that type of stuff. I don't know, man. It's just, I'm sorry, but there's no other word that you can describe it but slimy. It's just bad. It makes him look bad. And the fact that you're going to go back to the school that fired you, there's something wrong with that. Like, I don't know how to even quantify it, but there's just something wrong with that. It's not okay. Like, it makes no sense. From all I know, like I said, he was going to possibly do really good things at NC State. He really hurt that fan base for no reason. And I understand that, if there were West Virginia fans here, there would be people saying, well, what about DeVries? He turned a cold shoulder to West Virginia after a year. I'm not disputing that. And I do have some qualms about that as well. I do. Like, that was not the greatest thing with DeVries and Indiana and all that. He was only at West Virginia for a year, and he also made it seem like he was going to be there for the long haul and all that kind of crap, and maybe actually held his son for playing. I don't know. That's not the greatest thing here. There's one difference, though. The biggest difference is that Will Wade went back to the school he got fired from. DeVries has never been in Indiana before. Like, Indiana didn't rehire Kelvin Sampson, all right? Like, Indiana didn't rehire Bobby Knight. They didn't do that. LSU this is like a one-of-a-kind thing here. This is there's just a whole other level of suckage that this is. It is just that bad. Like, maybe I'm overblowing it. Maybe I should just blow it over. Like LSU, you do you. You're a great school. Getting the Lanes and the Will Wades of the world, you're fine. You're a good program. But I can't. That's trash. Like, is this hire good for LSU? Probably. Because no one gets in trouble for cheating no more. So you know what? It's probably an A- hire. But ethically, this is an F. This sucks. It's horrible. I feel bad for NC State fans, even though I'm not an NC State fan, because I've been hearing about it. Oh, boy, I've been hearing about it. Darn you, LSU, for making me hear about it. There you go, for hearing about it, because I'm tired of hearing about it. NC State fans want this man something I can't say on air. So, way to go. You're not likable anymore, Will Wade. No one likes you. You're a horrible, unlikable human being now by 99% of the planet, which is not something you want. That's not something you want, man. Lane almost brought it back. Will Wade was bringing it back, and they just destroyed it. all because they went to LSU. They both did the same thing, and I hope they're happy with themselves. And it's going to suck if they do good because everybody's going to be, well, see, they paid off. You don't want it to pay off. You don't want stuff like this to pay off. You shouldn't want stuff like this to pay off. I'm done. It sucks. Everything about this is just trash. So
here's the thing. I'll give my say on this because Jeffrey said just about everything there is to say. But it's one thing, I like to look at things like this. So it's kind of like in life when you get married to somebody, you go through the honeymoon stage, right? And then you get dumped out, right? That's kind of what that was. But see, here's the thing. I think Will Wade always loved LSU. I think he did. I think he always knew he wanted to be there. But he was just like, but here's the thing though. Like anything else, the marriage went sour. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to go over here and rebuild myself, rebrand myself. Because deep down, he's like looking at LSU like that woman, like, you're mine. I want you to be mine, that kind of thing. But then he goes to NC State, and NC State fans are welcoming him with open arms like that woman that's like, I finally found my dream man. Like, and then he goes behind her back and cheats with the ex-wife kind of thing. Right? And I know that's where we are at this stage, but it's okay. That's what this is, and it's unethical and unmoral.
The thing that makes overall, it so bad is that if he was at McNeese still, if he was at McNeese and then went back to LSU, I would still be like, I'd be like, this is just whatever. Whatever. But it's the fact that he went to NC State, and it really, from my vantage point, it really seemed like NC State was committing to have legitimate success with this guy. And I can guarantee you for a fact that if NC State had known this, they would have never hired him. Ever. And that's just what makes it so bad. And I agree, and I'm glad you said what you said. I am. From your perspective, you're right. He probably really did like LSU, and he probably never wanted to leave LSU when he was there. And that's fair. That's fair. And he's getting an opportunity to go back. Good for him. But you cannot do what you just did. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know.
Wrong.
It's just not right. Everything about it is not right, man. Like, I just wish he had never gone to NC State. He shouldn't have done that, man. He should have never done that.
And people ask all the time, like, why do teams have trust issues? Bingo, right here, this man. And people are like, oh, but he's just one example. Lane Kiffman's calling.
And it makes it worse that LSU just did it with Lane. That's what makes it worse. You got two coaches. Like, some programs have like one unlikable coach that like no one likes, and then the other one's just like, okay, whatever. Like, oh, no one likes Dan Hurley, but nobody talks about UConn's football coach. Or, nobody liked Bobby Knight back in the 80s and 90s, which he was kind of cool, but he has some issues too, I get. But whatever. But no one cares. Indiana's football coaches were fine. LSU has two. Just nobody likes these three. And it sucks. Yeah, Mulkey's kind of, whatever. But the thing with Lane is that I really was giving Lane the benefit here. Like, I really, really, really was. That's what's so sick. Now, Will Wade, whatever. I didn't know him as much or care. But with Lane, when he was at Ole Miss, I was like, you know what? He's done great things at Ole Miss. This is cool that he took, kind of like Cignetti, he took a bad program. He took a bad program in Ole Miss and made him relevant, and then he just did that. And again, Ole Miss was willing to give him everything he needed. They were this close to championship material. I don't know. And then the way it was handled, if he had just left gracefully, whatever, but the whole drama is like, oh, and then he was like, oh, I don't like the drama. Yes, you do. You're making it worse. You're not helping the problem. Like, I don't know, dude. LSU, I don't like them right now. I'm not that type of guy that I try not to hate programs. I try because for one thing, I talk about all these teams all the time, and I have fans from all these teams that watch or follow my stuff, and I appreciate those people. I don't like to I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, I don't like that team, and like, No LSU fan is going to watch my crap if I'm always going off about their team, or no Auburn fan. I try to be unbiased, but you cannot look at your program right now and be like, okay, what we did is good. Nothing about what LSU has done is good. It's not okay. They did wrong. I understand that they're like everybody else. They want the best coach. And yeah, they might have got the best coach for them with Will Wade again and Lane, but it's just bad. It leaves such a crappy taste in your mouth. It's like eating a moldy Krabby Patty. It's no good, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just no freaking good. It tastes bad. That's what they did. Both of these.
Here's the thing, and I agree with Jeffrey, and like to put a bow on this because there's still some more coaches we got to talk about, and we want to talk about Hubert Davis. I know we've been saying that for a minute, and it's 1:12 in the morning over here, and I'm sure Jeffrey's too. We gone on way longer, but here's the thing I will say. Hate's a strong word. Like, for me, I don't like using the word hate. Like, because that means you despise them. I don't despise anybody, but here's the thing, though. I'm starting to be like Jeffrey. I'm starting to dislike LSU. Because here's the thing. Because with Brian Kelly, I thought it was cool. I'm like, no one's backing Brian Kelly. Like, I'll be that guy. But then when they did what they did with Lane Kiffin, I was like, no, I ain't backing that. I hope you go 6-6 and lose in the bowl game. Like that kind of thing. Like, still make a bowl game, but that's what you do. And I'm like Jeffrey, I try to be unbiased, but we all have our bias. But it's just like the way Will Wade did this, it's just unethical. And it's not the way to go about things. And it shows, like, if people want to know why more ADs aren't open to coaches and why they're more guarded, this is why, people, because you got backstabbing coaches. And listen, can't speak now. Neither me or Jeffrey are in Will Wade's shoes. But the way it was done, and it's just.
But I understand we're not in their shoes, like you said, and he's probably getting a major pay raise and all that kind of like. Lane's not even getting a major pay raise. That's what's funny about it. He's not even getting a major pay raise. He just left because, like, all right, well, LSU's a bigger program, and I'm going to get more resources, and I'm going to win, and I get all that. It's just both of these could have been handled better. And that's all. Like I said, if Will Wade was at McNeese still, it wouldn't have been as bad. If Lane hadn't done what he did the way he did it at Ole Miss, it wouldn't have been as bad. I still wouldn't have liked either. But, yeah, it's just like I said, LSU is now like the target. It's like if you're not an LSU fan, nobody likes LSU right now. And it's just you don't want that to be your program. You just don't.
And they gave it a B+, Jeffrey. I'm surprised. I was thinking they were going to give it an A. They gave it a B+.
Yeah, I gave it an A-. It's an A- hire. I'm not doubting that it's a good hire. It's just ethically it's an F. It's bottom of the barrel. But I give it an A-.
I'm giving it an A. On the ethical level, it's an F. But if we're looking at just some coaching, it's an A. And Jackson's giving us a nice $2.
Jackson.
I love Jackson. This is what Jackson is. Justin Gainey at NC State. Speaking of NC State, this, Jeffrey, might be the sleeper hire of the offseason. In my opinion, I've been talking about this with a lot of my friends because I have some friends that are from Tennessee and are orange all the way through, and they're college basketball fans. Like, I'll ask them all the time. I'm like, are you – like, because most Tennessee fans you meet are college basketball fans, right? Like, you got the college football fans, but most people that I talk to, Jeffrey, they're college basketball. That's all they watch for Tennessee. They can care less what happens in football. Like, if they make the playoffs, they're like, good for them. Like, they're the basketball people. So when we were talking and they go, like this is, they were telling me, they're like, Austin, this is a really good hire for NC State. Like, not a lot of people know about him, but like, he's going to be really good. They were like upset that he left because they thought he would take over one day for Rick Barnes. And I'm like, okay. And for me, it's just like, it's cool to see these coaches get these chances chances. And it's just like, and what better player, slurred over my words now. Here we go. Coach learned from the Rick Barnes, right? And Jackson,
Mm.
I know you're listening. Rick Barnes is one of the 25 greatest coaches this sport has ever seen. And I don't, Jackson, as much as you have the Bama blinders on, you have to admit Rick Barnes is one of them, even though he's in that Tennessee orange. And I know Jeffrey, if he when he comes back or if he's there, I don't think he would disagree with me on that statement.
Mm.
So I hope for Gainey this goes well for him. I think he's a really good head coach from what I've seen and heard about him from my Tennessee people. Jeffrey, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, again, obviously I'm a Carolina fan, so I don't want to see NC State become a juggernaut or anything, because then you got both NC State and Duke, that would be a problem. But I do hope for NC State fans, just like as Jackson would say, good karma coming from NC State. I hope that it works. I hope they have success because that sucks to get screwed like that. It does, and
Mm-hmm.
I would say the higher. I'll give it a B just because I can't give it an A because he hasn't coached. I don't believe as a head coach, so he's a little question marks of that. But kind of like with Luke Murray, he's been around great coaches, so he's got that going for him. And it does seem like NC State is trying to commit to NIL. They're trying, so I'll give it a B. I think it has a shot to work.
They gave it a C plus.
Mm.
That's the lowest grade they've given all.
It's illustrated. First time I've been higher.
Like, that's the thing, Jeffrey. That's the lowest grade they've given. Everyone they've given like A, B. They're not very high on this. I'll give this a B plus. I think this is a good hire. Me and you, Sports Illustrated, not very high. Providence, Brian Hodgson. Here's the thing. He won in South Florida. He won the American this past year. Providence is in a situation where they're good, but they're not good. Meaning they're kind of in mediocrity. They're not bad, but they're not good either. They're just mediocrity. They're mediocre. Like, if Providence wins 18 games, it's like, okay, that's good. And they're like mediocrity. Like, they're not like with Marquette like that. So Hodgson's coming over. I've been kind of juggling with this one, Jeffrey. Do you think this is a lateral move? Because he was winning at South Florida and he was getting recruits to South Florida. And that's a hard place to recruit, especially with Miami right next door to you. Do you think this was a lateral move? Do you think he should have stayed, or do you think this was a good move?
It's interesting because, I know a lot of Providence fans, they wanted shirts. He stayed at St. Louis. I think that it kind of feels like a lateral move. I mean, it is an upgrade. I mean, the Big East is better than the American, but Providence is not. I mean, that's why I didn't rate Hust as high at Creighton. I just feel like the teams at the bottom of the Big East, like with NIL, it just doesn't seem like they're doing that good. It kind of seems like the Big East right now is St. John's and UConn, and then Villanova and Tron, but like these other teams in the Big East are just kind of like whatever, they're not doing all that good. So I give it a B minus, mostly for him. I don't think it was the greatest move for him because I mean, Cooley did good there, but it's like I don't know how much Providence's NIL is that good. I don't know. So plus, like they said that Bruce Downs is higher, is that he might jump to a bigger program the moment he feels he's ready. So I mean, I don't know. I just maybe it's better than a B minus for Providence in the short term, but in the long term, I don't think it's great for the whole situation.
Jeffrey, they gave it an A minus, and I guess you look what he did at South Florida, right? Went from 13-19 to 25-9 and won the American, right? That's pretty good at South Florida. So I understand where they're coming from. I'll give it a B plus. I do. I got to see what he does because it is hard to recruit, and like you said, in the Big East. So I hope for his sake he does well.
I'll give it a B for Providence and a B minus for Hodgson.
Okay. My old good buddy Chris Mack going to South Florida. And listen,
B minus.
I'll give it a B minus as well. And listen, I still have a lot of love for Chris Mack. I think he's a great head coach. I really do. I know a lot of people are sold out on him. They're like, nope, Chris Mack,
There's Will
but he
again.
still went. Oh boy, listen here, Will. You have to understand, Will, my perspective. I owe Chris Mack a lot of gratitude for what he did for Louisville. After those years of those NCAA sanctions and the fact that he brought us back and was able to keep us up just a little bit the first time around, I owe that man a lot of gratitude for what he did for our program. And I know a lot of Louisville fans, they feel the same way. It's kind of like with Indiana. A lot of Indiana fans that I've talked to, they still have love for Mike Woodson. They were just like, I don't know, like obviously one of them, Jeffrey, like up here, but the ones that I've talked to, they're like, Woodson, we still love him. He brought us back. He got us on the right track. Now, Jeffrey may feel different. He might be like, Woodson sucked. Like, I don't care about that, but I won't speak for him. But for the ones I've talked to, they still got a lot of love for Woodson. So for me, I have a soft spot for Chris Mack. And I understand where you're coming from, Will. So I give this a B minus, like Jeffrey. Like Jeffrey, let me ask you, since you're an Indiana fan and you're in North Carolina, I'm sure there's Indiana fans. How do you all feel about Woodson? Are you like me, still hold a soft spot for Woodson, or you, even though his latter years turned out not so good?
I think more Indiana fans like Woodson. As
Okay,
the player.
then the media's
They more Indiana fans like Woodson the player still. I mean, they love him as the player. I mean, he did great things in the 70s, but as the coach, I mean, I think more Indiana fans like him than Archie Miller, but Indiana fans just want to win again. They just want to win. They don't care who it is.
They gave it a B plus. This is interesting, Jeffrey. Gary McNamara, who used to play at Syracuse, as the picture shows there. This is interesting because Syracuse has got the NIL money. They can compete if they really put their foot forward. Because they can get the NIL money being in New York. They had Carmelo's son this past year. Kai Anthony, I think it is. That's his name, right? Kai?
Mm.
Is he coming back next year?
That I ain't sure.
I think he is. But anywho, yeah. What do you think of this hire, Jeffrey? I give it an A.
I'll give it an A minus. I hope it works for Syracuse, but we'll see.
They gave it a B minus, of course. Here we go. Utah State, Ben Jacobson, who is at Northern Iowa. I'll give it a B plus.
Shocking.
He's made the tournament.
Another one like Randy Bennett. Jacobson been in Northern Iowa for a long time. I'll give it an A minus.
A minus, okay. They gave it a B plus, and that was all the coaches that they've graded. Now, for our last topic and very, very last topic, Jeffrey, give your quick thoughts on this. Let me pull it up. Let's talk about Mr. Hubert Davis. North Carolina fired Hubert Davis, and I know we're late, but here we go. If you would be so kind, Jeffrey, ban on Likely, please.
There we go. Breaking news. Not so breaking now, but breaking news. Hubert Davis fired. I mean, I can't say I was. Go ahead.
I want to set the table because you are a North Carolina fan. You could speak to this more than I can. First off, did you want Hubert Davis fired? And second, do you think the move was necessary going forward to do this?
The thing with me is that, like, I can't that I was like stubborn, like some people get stubborn and you really want the coach to stay. I wasn't like you guys, like everybody that I know, like, Will was telling me, Jackson, after the loss to VCU, you guys and everybody in chat was talking about like, oh, Hubert Davis has got to go. And then reading comments on Twitter, most North Carolina fans like Hubert Davis has got to go. And I was kind of mixed because on the one hand, I get Carolina is not as good as they were, with Roy Williams by a long shot. Outside of the 1 year they went to the national championship game, which a lot of people chalk up as a fluke now. There was a lot of underwhelming. That lost to Alabama in the Sweet 16. I live streamed that game. Alabama should have lost. Carolina should have won that game, but they lost. And then a lot of underperformance the rest of it. He still won around 70% of his games. So I was kind of on the fence. I wasn't fully like he's got to go. I mean, he had some good players coming in still. Caleb Wilson getting hurt is not his fault. They wouldn't have lost to VCU if he was. So, I mean, there's a lot in defense of him. But then on the other hand, it's like Carolina's a blue blood. You can kind of see, like, if we keep going this route, like Indiana keeping Woodson that final year, you missed out on Dusty May. And Carolina sees, you've got Tommy Lloyd maybe. You got Billy Donovan. You've got all these guys that are possibilities. It's like, we got to move now or we're going to keep slipping and we're going to maybe become an Indiana or a Nebraska football. I get that. But it's like, I mean, to me, like, Carolina is not even horrible. But again, it's about being elite. They want to be elite. But that's why, like, this move only makes sense is if your next hire is good, because how many programs have we seen fire a coach that was doing all right and then it gets worse? Bo Pelini at Nebraska, Gus Malzahn at Auburn. So many teams fire a coach that's not doing bad. Hubert Davis wasn't doing bad. And it's not like the recruiting had been dropped. They were still recruiting well. They literally just got Wingo. They got all these profile guys coming in still. It's not like the recruiting was drying up. So I don't fully agree with it. I do, but I don't. I more was kind of 50-50 versus everybody else. It was just like, get them out of here. If they get a Tommy Lloyd or they get a Billy Donovan, if they get Billy Donovan, then okay, I understand it. If you get Billy Donovan, I understand getting rid of Hubert Davis. But if you don't get Billy Donovan and you just get some dude that's like whatever, then I'm going to be like, why? Why was this necessary? You got to get Billy Donovan. You got to get that big name. If not, then they shouldn't have fired him. So my take on this being a good move is who they hire, which they haven't announced yet.
Okay. I want to give my perspective on this as a neutral, being in the ACC with you guys, and having some say in this. I feel like with Hubert Davis, he had some really good wins. Obviously beating Duke, going to the national title game. And I understand there was a lot of letdown. The year y'all lost to Bama in the Sweet 16, meaning North Carolina on this case. The year that y'all had everyone back. This past year. I feel like, Jeffrey, if this was any other program, this would not be a discussion. We would not be here right now. But the fact that it is North Carolina and they are the bluest of blue bloods, they expect to win Final Fours, national titles, no exceptions. Like, that's the thing. And like you said, Hubert Davis, I think, is a good head coach. I've seen some people say, oh, he's a bad head coach that inherited Roy Williams teams. That's not necessarily true. Like, these past couple teams have all been his, and they've been some good teams, right? And if Caleb Wilson wasn't hurt, they might have done a little something in the tournament. But like you said, this all comes down to who you hire next. And some of the names, Jeffrey, I've heard so far. I've heard Tommy Lloyd, Billy Donovan. I've heard Nate Oates' name thrown in there. I've even heard, Jeffrey, some people say Dan Hurley, Todd Golden. I've heard some people say Jay Wright's going to come out of retirement and take the job, which, listen, if Jay Wright comes out of retirement, it's not going to be to take the North Carolina job. It'll be to take the Villanova job only. But he's not coming out of retirement, so let that go. That horse is dead and buried. He's not coming back. And I've heard rumors, Jeffrey. They were talking about it the other night on the show. Bruce Pearl. I heard they were talking about, oh, Bruce Pearl's going to take the job. And I'm like, no, he's not. Bruce Pearl's not going to take the North Carolina job. Not it. And it's just like, that's the thing. Like, be honest with me, Jeffrey. Out of everybody that we've named, who would you like to take the job? Like, for me, I would like to see someone like a Billy Donovan come back, or maybe.
Honestly, I kind of want to see Billy Donovan. I ain't gonna lie.
Okay.
I mean, Tommy Lloyd. Tommy Lloyd would be fine, but Tommy Lloyd that would irritate people. Like Billy Donovan's that's like a win-win. It's not gonna irritate anybody. like no one's gonna be mad because like he's in the NBA. Like he can't make anybody mad, which I understand. Like who cares? Like oh LSU doesn't care, right? I mean it doesn't matter, but like you know what I'm saying? Like Tommy Lloyd, like that would frustrate a lot of people. Not like Will Wade or Lane, but I mean Todd Golden, Dusty May. I've seen people throw on Todd Golden. I'm like, really? I mean,
here's the thing, Jeffrey.
Nate Oates isn't happening. He's not happening.
Well, here's the thing. I've heard Nate Oates tied to a lot of NBA jobs. Then this came out earlier today that a lot of GMs and owners are going to pursue Nate Oates in the NBA, which I don't know if he'll take any of the jobs. We'll have to see what comes open, but we'll see on that. But as far as North Carolina goes, be honest with me, Jeffrey. If you wake up tomorrow morning and see someone like a Bruce Pearl, what would be your first reaction?
I would be like, I mean, Bruce Pearl is not the most likable guy in the world.
Okay.
I mean, I don't dislike him as much as some people do, but he's not the most likable person in the world. And I understand likability isn't, like a lot of people don't like Cignetti, which I don't get. I mean, Cignetti's kind of like, he's goated, but whatever. I mean, but again, like I think Bruce Pearl is not the most likable guy. You kind of don't want somebody that's not like that unlikable. I understand as long as he wins, it don't matter. Like Dan Hurley's not very likable, but Dan Hurley's almost so unlikable that he's likable, and that's what's just insane. But I don't know. I would rather see Billy Donovan than Bruce Pearl, which Bruce Pearl wouldn't happen, but I'd rather see Billy Donovan.
So, Jeffrey, there's two names I want to mention. TJ Aussenberger and Mark Boyd from Vanderbilt and Iowa State. I've seen those names out there.
I would be fine with either of those. Honestly, I'd be fine with either of those. I actually thought Byington was very possible at Vanderbilt, but I mean, it seems like they've trended away from that one. That doesn't mean it ain't gonna happen. But like early in the search, like right after he got fired, like he was like a name that was everywhere. Now it's like they keep talking about Donovan. But if Byington was announced tomorrow or Otzelberger, I'd be fine with it. I would not be upset with it at all.
So here's another one, Jeffrey. Grant McCasland. I've seen that name a couple times as maybe an under the radar.
I'd be upset about it. I'd be a little more head scratching than Otzelberger and Byington, especially Otzelberger. Okay. Otzelberger's like got a lot of proof of success, but it wouldn't be. I don't think people would be upset about it. No, but I think most Carolina fans want Donovan. Is a lot of people I've talked to, they want Donovan.
Billy, I've seen a couple, Jeffrey, like people I've talked to, they said, how about Michael Malone, the former Nuggets head coach? Like he's always talked about wanting to coach college. What do you think? He's an NBA champion. Would that be something, Jeffrey, that would intrigue you all down there?
Yeah, it would intrigue me. I think that's more of a stretch because I mean, like Donovan had, the experience in the college game. Only thing I'm hearing from people is that, well, is Donovan been removed from college too long? I think the only thing that helps Donovan though is the fact that college has become more like the NBA. As time has gone on, college has become more like the NBA. The style of play, the way it's managed with NIL, and even though the portal's whack, it's kind of like trades. I mean, it's literally a lot more like the NBA. So I don't think it would shell shock Donovan that much. I don't think. But, like Malone not coaching at all, I think that would be a little harder. And he's never coached college. I think that makes Donovan more viable.
And I'll say this. I just thought of this. Scott Drew from Baylor. I don't think that would be one, but that's the one I come up with off the top of my head.
The only way you can see it is if Scott Drew thinks his time at Baylor's dried up, but I don't see it. I think this was a blip in the radar. I think this was just an off year. Okay. I think some players didn't work out. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll stay at Baylor.
Okay. So overall, though, Jeffrey, since you're the Carolina guy, give me your 3 head coaches, and then we'll end it for the night. Who would you like to see? Your 3 head coaches.
I would go Donovan.
Okay.
Then.
And make them realistic. Don't say something like Rick Pitino or something. Don't be that person.
Definitely not. I would go Donovan, then probably Otzelberger, Byington.
Okay. For me, I would probably say Aussenberger. I'd love to see a Nate Oates. and I'd like to see. It'd be kind of funny, but I'd like to see a Bruce Pearl just for giggles. No, but in all seriousness, though, Byington, Austin and McCaslin. Those are the three for me.
All right. Fair.
But Bruce Pearl would be funny.
It'd be funny, but it would be like, oh no, like
Jeffrey wake up tomorrow, he'll be like, oh, I know we went off late, but please tell me I'm seeing things. Bruce Pearl. No, all seriousness though. Yes, Godfather, we're about ready to wrap it up right this minute. Me and Jeffrey pulled a late nighter. We didn't intend to, but we did. How about this, Jeffrey? If we can't, me, you, and Jackson will take over the Carolina job. You could be the head coach since it's your hometown. We'll get it at a discount. I'll be the defensive strategist. Jackson can be the offensive, and Godfather can be the special teams coordinator for college basketball. He can draw it up for us. He
Sounds good.
But no, in all seriousness though, guys, we've been live almost 3.5 hours, almost 4 hours, and we can't do it without you all. That's the thing. Like, as crazy as me and Jeffrey are, we're tired, we're sleepy, but we're here and we love you all for it. Without y'all, we do not have a show. Godfather, we do not have a show without you either. And thank you to all the super chats that go towards Jeffrey, Jackson, and even Caden, even as crazy as he is.
Yeah.
Sometimes
we welcome everybody here. You know, we welcome everybody here, no matter how crazy they are. You know, well, too crazy.
Yes.
But Caden kind of gets close. But you know, we appreciate everybody though. It was a fun show. I mean, hopefully, either your or my predictions, at least one of ours is right. We literally picked the opposite. I mean, like you went Arizona, Illinois, I went Michigan, UConn. So hopefully one of ours is right. You know, or maybe
like someone's going to be right.
I get one of them right, you get one of them right, and then we'll see what happens. So and hopefully the coaching search for Carolina will go well because I mean Carolina needs a coach. I don't want to fall into mediocrity. It was fun going over all the coaches. It was fun.
Yes, it was fun doing all that as well. And like Jeffrey said, you know, this is fun stuff. Like this is the most fun time of year. Like Jeffrey said, we're getting ready for a big reset in sports where it's a dead period. But so enjoy it while we can. But with all that being said, though, we still got things going on in our lives as far as our channels and Jeffrey and Jackson Thursday nights and Mondays and sometimes Tuesdays, depending on what it is. But Jeffrey, let you start it out. Tell the people what you got going on.
Definitely got more content coming. I'll try to post, try to post more if I can. It's lack of time. Sometimes I'm not able to, but try to maybe go live. I can't say for another basketball game or not. I'd love to, but I did do a few. I said I would. I did a few streams this year, but I don't know. We'll see if I'll be able to do another one or not, but definitely not a given. But I'm sure I'll be going live again in the future, talking about maybe other stuff, we gotta get back to making videos. I haven't done videos in a while, but definitely want to get back to that. But do appreciate all the support. Definitely, if you haven't already, like the stream down below, subscribe to either Sports Talk with Austin or my channel, Only Talk Sports. Definitely appreciate it. And you guys have been amazing. And definitely check out Alabama, the voice of college football. Definitely got the mug and the tumbler. Appreciate that, Austin. Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of stuff for you guys, and we couldn't do it without you guys like Austin. And so we appreciate it.
And I do want to say, I know I've had some people ask me if I'm going to do the NBA playoffs. I plan on doing it. Now, with who, that's up in the air. I know a lot of you have asked, are me and Jeffrey going to do that again? We'll see. If Jeffrey has time and I have time, we'll do it again. So I know a couple of you guys in chat have asked. You do enjoy us talking about the pros, which I love pro basketball. I know Jeffrey said he kind of gets into it around the playoffs, which a lot of people do. Now, Jeffrey, your Hornets are doing good, so maybe it'll get you a little more excited. But that's what I've got coming up when the playoffs come around. I plan on doing that, and if Jeffrey has time, me and Jeffrey will be back for that possibly. If not, I'll do it myself. But to answer your all's questions, because I've been getting that quite a bit, I was like, "You gonna do that with Jeffrey this year?" I was like, "We'll see." But I got that, and get back to making videos and shorts. So stick around, tune in for that, and of course, like Jeffrey said, tune in for his play-by-plays. Maybe he'll go live for National Championship Monday. Maybe he'll do that for you all. You never know. Or maybe he'll go live for a UFL game. You just never know about that crazy kid. But like Jeffrey said, make sure you hit the notification bells on both of our channels, so you never miss another video. Either way, thank you all for being here and enjoy the Final Four. We got 3 games left and we got 1 champion to crown. So enjoy it, and happy Thursday morning for all of our East Coasters, and happy late night Wednesday for our West Coasters and our Central Time Coasters, I think. I never majored in geography, but thank you all for being here, and we will catch you when we catch you on the flippity flip flop. Okay, we'll catch you on the other side.
We appreciate it, everybody. Definitely hope everyone has a great night, and definitely enjoy March Madness while we got it. Definitely appreciate everybody.